Hello. Hello, everyone. Today's Tuesday, October 15th. The time is 6 o'clock. It's a special meeting of the Leander City Council. At this time, we're going to do roll call. Ms. Crabtree.
Councilmember Catherine Battalion Parker. Here. Councilmember Michelle Stevenson. Councilmember Jason Shaw.
Here.
Councilmember Christine Setterquist. Mayor Pro Tem Chris Cernick.
Here.
Councilmember Marcy Cannon.
Here.
Mayor Troy Hill.
Here. We do have a quorum. We can proceed. This time we're going to move to item 4, discussion with staff and consider possible action regarding unfunded capital improvement program, CIP projects, and funding options for fiscal years 2020 through 2024. Mr. Pierce.
Well, I would like to give a big overview, but Robert's come in working with everybody, and I think we're going to do city staff 3 minutes each on every project. And we'd like to kind of go through them if we can and maybe hold questions until we get through, and then we'll do Q&A after that if that works with everybody.
Sure.
So, who's up first?
I can just say, just 2 minutes to kind of orient you to the notebooks. As Mr. Pierce said, we're going to take this in chunks. The first section is going to be each director going through his or her projects, write down a list as quickly as possible. So, we'll wait until we get to round 2 for questions, and we'll do a deeper dive on that. Your notebook is divided in 3 tabs, but tonight we're really focused on the first one. The other 2 are supplementary information if it comes up or you want to look at things later. The second tab is divided by projects by type, so all the park projects are listed, all the transportation projects are listed. And if you see one of the rows highlighted in yellow and on one of those tabs, that means it's one we're discussing tonight. It's unfunded. The third tab are all the project sheets for all the projects that were submitted by the departments this summer, including those that made it into the 5-year funded. So it's just a complete list. We're not going to go through that. But with that said, if you'll turn to basically page 2, the first page after the tab, the list of unfunded projects, we're going to go down the column on the left, and starting with Mr. Cummins, and then we'll follow up with Wayne and Gina on transportation projects. So again, this is going to go quickly, and then we'll come back later for questions and discussion. Mark?
Great. Good evening, everyone. I'm batting leadoff. Season average of 407. Not as many home runs as base hits, but that's okay. That's okay. The first one up is the San Gabriel Park. It's a trailhead. This is really very new on our scope. As you remember, this is located, the property is located on 183A north of our city, in the north part of our city. It's already has 85 acres of city-owned land and property designated as a park. Bonds are not scheduled to be sold until next fall, or approximately in that time frame. There's 2 portions of this park. One includes the park development, which is primarily athletics, and the second is the trail development, which starts at the park and goes east towards Ronald Reagan, actually culminates at the Bar W Ranch property line. We met with CTMRA on October 4th. Wayne and I, Robert, and I think maybe David, and I'm not sure if Mr. Pierce was there or not, but anyway, we did meet with CTRMA. They are now in the process of working on their design. They anticipate turning dirt in early 2021 for the extension all the way to Liberty Hill, just up past 29 and the culmination at Highway 29. And so we began to look at the process, and what you see in front of you, and if you have your maps and on the slide, is on the right-hand side is the San Gabriel River running from north to south, I guess you could say, I'm sorry, from on the, running vertical, not horizontal. That's 183A, and they're very preliminary. Did ask if we could share this portion of the map, and they said yes, so we did get approval. The green line is just the city property, so don't worry about the green line too much. Just on the upper end, top of the page, you'll see the park property. It is surrounded by green. That's the 85 acres we're discussing. If you have a clicker, I'll be glad to point it out if we have might be a little bit easier. Clicker.
Mike, do you have the highlighter? Pointer?
It doesn't work with the laptop.
Oh, okay. Well, we're good. So on the bottom portion of 183A that you can see there, you see a yellow line and that is essentially a pedestrian path. It'll connect all the way into where they leave off at San Gabriel Parkway now, and connect all the way up to Liberty Hill. That's a pedestrian path. They're going to put in the bridges, and along that western border, they looked at 3 sites for a trailhead, and of course, yes. So that's all right. Perfect. So right in there is a pedestrian path coming all the way up, and it goes all the way down this direction. They looked in this area, and another area up in this area. I think this one, and this one for a trailhead. They just did not. One, space is a issue. Access is another issue for them, and we brought up the potential of, in this area, we were already looking at a trailhead. This is all preliminary. We don't have any design or any concept, but just internally looking at a trailhead in somewhere in this area. We have the main entrance. We've been out there. That's that concrete entrance, and we have another smaller entrance about right there. With them, our main park road will have to be pretty much in between those two. They have an exit ramp right here, coming off, coming up to Larkspur, and of course to, what's that subdivision right there? Sorry. Summerlin. So we have to put we have some leeway, but our main park road, and most likely it'll be right in this general neighborhood. So a trailhead coming in, which they will fund, and also put in a pedestrian underpass under all 4 bridges to connect into the pedestrian path here. What that does is really interesting, because sort of the vision would be to have a interpretive center, interpretive panels, dinosaur related, Triassic, Jurassic related, fossil related, yeah. But this is an opportunity for especially environmental and interpretive education, historical and archaeological interpretation for our schools. And bring bus in, a bus turnaround, and then they can come in, they can park, get out, look at the interpretive areas, and then be able to safely go under the bridges and cross down. Now, the dinosaur tracks are down in this area, not far, less than a quarter of a mile, or maybe right at a quarter of a mile. But the huge factor for us is they are going to put in this connection, at least to get us to this point right in here, connection into the pedestrian path, and then construct the trailhead for us, and maybe some other amenities. Those are yet to be determined. So this is, to me, it's very exciting, because it's one less piece of the puzzle that we don't have to fund, that another entity is willing to fund to put in a trailhead for us in this area. And of course, the trail, the river trail, extends all the way up this way to Bar W Ranch. And we already own that property as well. So this is sort of a nice little bonus, if you will. However, that does mean they'd like for us to work alongside them on their design, so we are all, and we can really start with this general area in here for design, but that means selling bonds, or at least portion of the bonds, early, so we can begin our design work alongside them, and so everybody matches up. And then by the time they're ready to begin construction, they'll have everything all completed. So I wanted to throw this out as a potential project for us and moving forward in this arena. So,
Is that where the bull riding is?
yes, it is.
Okay,
Mhm,
I
sure
was
is.
just trying to
Absolutely.
put it on the map in my head.
Okay, I'll move on to the next project. This is the Brushy Creek Trail.
You have a slide in here?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, keep flipping, go back just a little bit. I don't know how many slides. This is the interpretive center. Go back to one more, Robert. This is the interpretive center at Big Bend National Park. Really, really cool. If you haven't been, get a chance to go. So the vision is maybe something similar to this. It's an open air, so it's not a conditioned space. It's covered. Of course, heat gets up to 110, 115, but lots of people go, and you can see the displays that they have there. I've got like 25 more pictures I could show you of this. So really, really cool, but something along those lines. I just want to give you share that same vision. Brushy Creek Trail, and this is primarily, of course, this is Brushy Creek all the way along through here. This is Sarita Valley. The trail is already in to this point right in here. And the portion that we're talking about is right in this area and possibly to about this point. We'll just have to see, because some of this is scheduled for developers to do for us. And then there's the lake, horizon, southwestern lake. And then this goes up north, and then it cuts off here and goes South Brushy Creek, and that's North Brushy Creek. And it comes through. So we're really talking about this piece of property. It's about 2.5 miles long. The city does own a good portion of it. Some of it Leander Volunteer Fire Department, City of Leander. There is Stewart Crossing. They've already put in their trail. Marabella is putting in their trail. Then we have in this area, as you remember, the LCRA towers or electrical substation in this area, working with folks on putting a trailhead in this section right in here and connecting into and under Reagan into Sarita Valley. I'm sorry. Got to speed up, sorry. Okay. This is a project that's been on the books since even I was here. We have a Brushy Creek Trail study, routing study that's been done. We have some environmentals that have already been done. The cost of this is total is about 3.2. It's one of those Williamson County bond projects we applied for, but it was not picked up by the county to further fund this portion. The next one is he's got stage at Lakewood. Okay, we'll go there.
Golf club, Crystal.
Oh, I bet there wasn't anything for the golf club. That's fine.
Go ahead and explain it.
I will.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So there's several things with the golf course that we had John Olenowski Design complete a master plan for us that really looked at a number of issues. Safety concerns were top and foremost. Enhancing aging infrastructure, which is our irrigation and cart paths. If you go out there, you'll notice the cart paths primarily are pretty wore and a lot of cracks and a lot of issues with those. And then our irrigation, we have a great heart, and that's what we've been told because of the pump station coming from the Treviso water plant. But all of the veins and arteries are pretty much shot, and we're constantly repairing those irrigation lines. Another area is enhance and renovate the aging greens. We've got a lot of varieties. It's hard to keep out, but they do a great job with what they've got. Another one is eliminating or controlling stormwater and flood protection issues that are a constant battle as well. There are some aesthetic improvements and scenic view protection, and then, of course, enhanced course playability and the potentially of enhancing other course features, which was not a part of this scope, but perhaps the clubhouse as well. His estimate is around $5.5 million, and so that's that project. I'll be glad to answer any questions later on about that. This is another one that's come up fairly recently. We funded Lakewood Park, or you funded, all of us together, funded Lakewood Park. It's located on Crystal Falls Parkway at the end of Artesian Springs Road. It's currently under construction, as you're aware of. There was a smaller performance stage overlook that was included in the original park master plan. And Mike, you might want to, there you go. So it's right in this area where that original overlook plan was. As you can see up here, there's a splash park, playground, parking lot A, parking lot B, and parking lot C, the kayak turnaround, fishing pier. This is the lake out here in itself, walking trails. This up here, this big square is dog park area. We've got basketball court, skate park, and so forth in that area as well. That's all under construction. Some of it's already been completed. And then this is the Great Lawn. It's 13 acres. It's a half-mile loop, concrete loop right in here. 13 acres under lawn and irrigation. It'll comfortably seat 10, 15,000 people, maybe even 20, based on some of the estimates that we've got. You can get a lot of people in there if you have the infrastructure to park them. The open air, this is what we're looking at for this stage is to enhance the stage rather than just a small little performance or something, but we're looking at potentially funding a larger stage to hold medium to even high-end type concerts. This is, there's 4 concepts. One was the brim, one was the crown, one was the reveal, and there's the reveal, as you can see, and then one was the wrap, which was a more of a, I guess, a treehouse concept set up into the woods. And this is an open-air structure with a shade canopy to create a sense of place with an elevated stage, including we can have performances such as live music, off-Broadway theater, drama production, Shakespeare in the Park, for example, dance performances, comedy shows, and a lot more. We do not also have currently a open-air type pavilion for large corporate picnics or barbecues, and this could also be rental space for large weddings, wedding receptions. The preliminary conceptual design creates a perspective that focuses the attention on the spectators on the performers, and heightens the visual experience for all. The one that we showed at the very end, the wrap, is about $700,000. The reveal is on the top end, that one there. It's close to about $1.4 million. And then we have an actual purchasing limit that I need to share with you too, 25% limit on change orders. So this project would fall within that, even with the funding of, close to the 1.3 or so. But these costs are all negotiable, so that's what these are just cost estimates. We would certainly negotiate as low as we could go. So I want to share that with you. And then the last one is Old Town Park. And I think you probably have some maps there. You've seen some of these. I want to point you up to the upper right-hand corner. This is sort of a conceptual at this point. Again, the focal point is the stage, but you have a nice water feature, fountain, interactive play area, but I don't want to call it a playscape. It's not what we typically look at, but it's historical panels related to Old Town and to Leander General, so there could be some really cool things there. There could be a dinosaur tracks, food court, park areas, and then live performances again on a smaller scale, but enhancing the Old Town area. I quickly did some research on economic benefits for downtown parks. These areas, and I'll be glad to send you a couple of articles if you'd like on the economic benefits of these, but one of those economic benefits that I came across, American Planning Association, if a home is located within a walkable area near the park, the value tends to go up by $81.54 per square foot. Pretty cool. And every dollar invested with such parks, there is a $7 return on the investment. So I want you to be thinking of those type of numbers when you're looking at this design and construction estimate of close to $1.4 million as well. And that concludes my portion of the presentation.
Next, we have transportation. We have 7 transportation projects. Wayne and Keenan will tag team a little on.
All right, good old San Gabriel Parkway. You guys have seen this any number of times. It's a bond task force recommended and voter approved project. We've got 4 lanes in the middle under construction, as you've seen a number of times on the board when we've been back before you. The other 2 lanes on the east side and the west side are under design. What's this thing?
Pointer, the green pointer.
Green. Okay. All right, this is a segment that's under construction right now, the 4-lane section, and it's actually along here. The map doesn't really show it effectively. The roadway is actually on this boundary right here, and then curves out, gets a rating. So that map is obsolete because the actual roadway itself, the 4 lanes are under construction now, which are common with Palmyra Ridge and Palmyra Bluff. We're paying for basically half of it. Blake McGee or Palmyra Bluff and Palmyra Ridge people, developer, paying for the other half. The 2 lanes are under design for this segment and for this segment. That design is right at 90%. We're supposed to have had a meeting this week.
Got rescheduled.
It got rescheduled next week by Freeze and Nichols. Just as an aside, I despise building half of a 2-lane roadway. I think it's inefficient, but there again, that's what bond task force recommended. It's what council approves. Back for a prelude to the election. But there again, once we have the final design in the can, we'll need to talk to you. We've got right-of-way acquisitions that are associated with that, and we'll see what you guys want to do with it, or how you want to proceed, whether you want to build all 4 lanes, although the design's only for 2. Don't like that, but that's where we are. Any questions?
No questions.
Oh, no questions. Not yet. We'll get that later. Sorry, Robert, messing up the timeline here. Well, I'm going to just move.
You're really good. You gotta go.
Give him the mallet.
All right. Next is the San Gabriel Parkway, 183 to 183A. We can just say that project is taken care of. That project is no longer on the list. That's going to be part of the Northline project. And our $15 million COs, I'm sure, will be contributing to funding of that project. So this particular project, T15, has been over.
Northline's building the south half
Right.
across their frontage, not necessarily the connection or the crossing across the rail.
Well, they've got that doggone slip road in there and all the rest of us. We're going back and forth with them about how that's going to be configured. There again. Okay. We have somewhat of a disagreement about with them. They have a slip road in there, which we think is totally crazy.
Which one is that way?
T15?
T15, yes.
Okay. Next one.
I don't, right now, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I would rather see something different. I don't know that we're going to get it. We have some issues. I don't know where we're going to come down on that. We're waiting for the resubmission from the engineer, which is supposed to be here on the 22nd. So
I don't think their submission takes care of the portion crossing the rail and connecting to 183. I think that was the original scope.
well, it is. It is to go to all the way to 183, and they aren't going any further than the rail. But that sheet's going to see some significant revisions. So that's. We'll be taking a look at that again once we get through with the Northline issue and see where that stands. The next one is T24.
I've got 222.
You got, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. No, it's no problem. You're up to that. 222 is County Road 280. This project's kind of changed a little as well since it was first put into the CIP book. It's an old county road, of course. It has a chip seal that's the first half or so still in pretty good condition. but as you go west towards Greatwood, it's significantly deteriorates. Because the road was in such poor condition, this project was still a few years away. City staff, Public Works has gone in and done about 800 to 900 feet of repairs in there. That's greatly improved the road before you get to Greatwood. If you go to the next slide, you can see just a couple or two. So that's the entrance. It's not too bad. And then those are the repairs that we've made. And then the next slide shows that the distresses and everything that is still right in front of Greatwood. And this section was actually put in when Greatwood was put in, and it's fallen apart pretty quickly. And so we still need some rehab on this road.
Huge water problems.
Yeah,
with that
well,
roadway.
we had
That's
to
the
get
whole issue.
creative with our repairs
Yeah.
to try to make them
It's
last.
a mess and a nightmare. If the Lackey property ever developed, we will,
Get rid of it. Yeah.
maybe
Improve
we
it.
will see a dramatic difference out there.
That's just to the east, right?
Greatwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Okay, well, next up is T-24. And it is raining.
It is.
That's a roundabout. I personally am not real fond about spending $1.4 million on converting that intersection to a roundabout, but that is, it is one of the projects that was placed on the list. It was, I think we've got $1.4 million to spend someplace else. At some point, a traffic signal is certainly going to be required. There's a four-way stop. The roundabout's very an expensive proposition, additional land acquisition, that type of thing. A traffic signal is going to be in the range of $450,000 to $500,000 turnkey. Just say $500,000. So we will revise this project sheet to reflect differently. This is something that was a favorite of somebody who's no longer here. Well, I got the next one too. Lakeline widening. Well, as we know, we had a county bond program assisted or participated in putting in 2 lanes of Lakeline from Hero Way to Crystal Falls. And the developer of Mason Ranch also participated with the county and built all 4 lanes through the extents of Mason Ranch. So we've got 4 lanes in place, as planned and as desired, up to the northern boundary of Mason Ranch, and then at that point it's 2 lanes all the way. Now, as additional development comes in, we've got the Gilpin tract is beginning to develop now. They are doing everything they can to style their development and to avoid building the other 2 lanes. We're not really sure how we're going to handle that from a strategic point of view. They're trying to weave in and out between our regulations to avoid that cost of installing the other 2 lanes, or cost participating in that. We don't have a solution to that yet. We're working on one, and it's going to depend on, we may go hard on them. We don't know how we're going to deal with it at this particular point, but we're not going to let them segment this thing to where we end up, where the city ends up eating the other 2 lanes.
Real quick, is that a PUD?
I think they have submitted an application. It's in, yes, in review.
So we can,
It won't be part of the
some-
PUD, but it would be part of a development agreement
Okay.
for Boundary Street improvement
Right.
fees. And we've made that comment.
Yeah.
I think part of this one was because Gilpin is just one segment, and so there's different properties along the remaining.
Well,
street.
there are, but Gilpin has the vast majority of the property on both sides of Lakeline, and we would think that we would be able to get the other half of the roadway. But there again, that's going to be developer-driven and process-driven. No, pat answers at this particular point in time. I guess you would say it is in motion, and we don't know exactly where it's going to land.
T38
Oh.
is mine. This one was pretty recently added. It's the reconstruction of Hero Way from County Road 69 to Ronald Reagan. I understand it was rehabbed by the county before we took it over about 15 years ago, and our staff
10 years ago.
is about 10.
Yeah.
I understand from our supervisors and everything that we almost immediately had to start crack sealing.
They did a horrible
So
job.
large cracks started to form, and then compound that with the truck traffic before we put the no truck ordinance, and it's really torn it apart. So we plan to do a reconstruction, but with some drainage, minor drainage improvements, no really added capacity, no turn lanes, no sidewalks. But feel like this would really help, the community as far as like an east-west corridor that a lot of people do travel. Some of the
And that rolls right into the next one.
Here we east.
Yes, well, the next project is basically it's the large county roadway project, the freeway project that is going to be the subject of the county bond election. We made a proposal to the county. I believe our proposed contribution to the county was $13.91 million. Of course, we have to wait to see if the voters are going to approve that. We would think they would. You don't know. We'll have to wait till election day to see. And thereafter, we also have to see how, what are the terms and conditions of an ILA that's going to be acceptable to the city about how we're going to participate in the purchase of right-of-way and the construction. We certainly hope of 2 frontage roads, north side and south side. So that's really about all I have to say. I mean, a lot of those things we are participants, but we aren't the leaders in that particular project. Although we do need to, I think, push heavily for having both frontage roads constructed prior to the main lanes within the next 3 to 5 years, hopefully.
The next group is, we have one stormwater project, S11.
The Brushy Creek Regional Pond, S11. There again, we have the situation in the TOD where beginning back in 2008, Bury and Partners did a study for the TOD for basically a no detention scenario within the TOD. That study was reviewed and revised significantly. We had third-party review of that and had to significantly revise the study. It stayed into effect until the Upper Brushy Creek restudy of the entire Brushy Creek system came on board, which is based on a 2012 snapshot. And we had intended on that becoming the living model to manage the no detention features in the TOD. We expected that to have been approved by FEMA back in late 2014. It'll become effective now in December of 2019. There's a couple things have happened since that 2012 snapshot that hydraulic study is based on. And we have a budgeted item in this year's budget. You approved $300,000 for us to update all of that and to determine in that process whether we need additional detention that will, protect the city from lawsuits, protect from flood damage, that type of thing. And we have once we get through that study, we'll have a much better idea of what our needs are. And there's a piece of property. Well, there you go. It's the K.C. Willis, the property K.C. Willis, I believe, for Dr. House owns the property. K.C. Willis is marketing it right now. We have had some discussions with them about our potential use of that property. A good deal of that property is impaired by floodplain, and it would make an ideal place for a potential detention facility for any excess detention that we need due to the no detention policy in the TOD area.
Next up is the Brushy Creek.
All right. Everybody's
No,
favorite.
wait a minute.
Oh, he did that one.
I missed,
Oh.
can't read my handwriting. Craig's up.
Which one is it?
M6.
All right, so I don't have any pictures up there, so just gonna kind of go over it. So the three projects you're gonna hear from us today, and I'll just explain the first one, kind of all are like dominoes where they all kind of fall on one another. Back in 2014, we did a police station architectural and spatial needs assessment to kind of get an idea of what kind of facilities we would need over the next 5, 10, 15 years. Obviously, there's some discussions at some point where a building may need to be purchased with some of the projects that you're going to hear today and whether we should combine them all. But this is kind of an overview that if we stay where we're at today, what are some of the things that we would need to do with the current facilities to be able to function in the next 5 to 10 years. So just kind of going down the list from the study was retrofitting and significantly expansion of the communication center. Right now we've got a communication center that's approximately 800 square feet. We've got 2 operators. We just added a 3rd station in there. But the communication center as itself hasn't changed in the last 7 years in the size. And we know that at some point we're going to need to expand that to a 4-station dispatch center as the community grows, as we hire more officers and there's more calls for service that come into the city. Just kind of perspective is when they did, in 2014, when they did a 5-year push out on population, they based that report at the current population in 2019 would be 49,000 people. So if you look at it today, I think Robin's not here, but in the 60s and stuff, so it's kind of a faster projection than we thought. Also, one other area that we're hurting in is an evidence storage, because every case that we have or we deal with involves some kind of tangible product that we have to stick into a room. Until there's a destruction done, that stuff kind of adds up, so we've had to slowly take rooms away to turn into evidence storage. So that's one area where we're also using part of the Jewel facility out at the sewer treatment plant for evidence as well. It's not the most ideal thing because it's off-site. It's not right in our direct care, custody, and control, but it's what we have for what we're experiencing. One thing that in this plan that we are doing right now is the stairwell retrofit security card access. That's being worked on today. We've kind of been piecemeal in this project over the last 5 years and just doing as much as we can per budget year. Also doing some conversions to where some areas where we expanded our training room upstairs. If some of y'all have been there, you saw that we moved it upstairs. The smaller training room downstairs is been planned to convert that to show up and then move and convert the old show up room into offices for other staff as we grow. The expansion of the locker areas as well. When the building was built in 2007, we had 1 shower, 1 toilet, 1 urinal in the men's, and about 40 lockers. And then in the women's, there's 1 shower, 2 toilets, and about 25 lockers there. So we're just kind of at full capacity as far as for the amount of personnel that we have in the building. So there's some ideas and drawings in this assessment that they did, which I'll be glad to share with you. It's pretty large, so I couldn't put it in a file. But would help us do a different kind of a setup with the bathrooms, which would make it, and that sounds weird when you say co-ed, but kind of a different show-up area where you can have mixed people in, and then restrooms obviously separately. Also, the department has a generator right now that runs the bottom floor, but only the dispatch center and the training room, which we would have as the EOC at one point. This would also look at installing an additional generator, because when the power goes out, everybody upstairs is not working until the power comes back on. So comms is running and computers are running in that aspect, but not the admin staff. They're pretty much just kind of sitting there with the 1 generator. We talked about the restroom conversions and expansion, and also this project would be to upgrade the HVACs. We have 17 units, or all residential units for a commercial building, but we've got 17, if you can imagine. Those go out every so often every year, so it's almost kind of interesting to watch that. And then also the electrical upgrades in the building. As we do some of these expansions, we're finding that because the building's age, there's a lot of residential wiring in there, so we're having to go back and convert that over to the commercial grade. And also IT upgrades would be various things like cameras, DVRs, and just the servers and things like that, the way everything runs kind of in the building. Other than that, that's kind of a quick overview. The cost considerations that we did back in 2014 were in the budget. To do design and engineering is about $114,000 to $200,000, and that's to restructure, redesign that. And then the construction costs in 2014 were anywhere between $1.5 to $2 million, which could have could change because we've had some changes in the building that we've already upgraded through there, so that cost can kind of fluctuate. That's just kind of a quick snapshot.
Chief Kerr? Pointer?
Yeah, and I think this is the one map. So. That's the one. So, as you're probably aware, in the Ronald Reagan corridor north of 2243, there's a lot of potential for development out here. Not only commercial, but residential. Potentially, you're looking at 3,000 to 4,000 rooftops out there. So, in preparation for that, we've put this together for Fire Station 6. Our closest unit is Fire Station 4, which is Crystal Falls and Ronald Reagan. To get from their station to that area is roughly around 10 minutes. So as this develops out and you get deeper into these areas, it could be 10 to 15 minutes before a unit could get in those areas. What that means is that some of those areas could have a lower ISO rating, which translates to higher insurance rates for those residents and also those commercial properties. So this CIP project is tentatively planned for FY21 to start the architectural development with the construction in 22. I do need to let council know that these changes the growth patterns and the annexations could alter this. So if we stop growing as a community, then potentials we're not going to need that fire station till further out. So this is tentatively what we're expecting is in about 3 years we're going to need that fire station out there. So.
Do you have another slide? Or
No, sir, that's it.
Greg?
All right, which one's that?
Combined fire and police dispatch.
All right, so this is something that Chief Kerr and I are going to have to help each other out on. This is a conversation, because if you look in your CIP, there's no dollar amount. It's to be determined. This kind of goes back to that piece that I was telling you about as far as the comm center. If we're looking to invest funds in that, this is, do we want to spend money there to here? So I would say a while back when we were talking about the expansion of this particular center, Chief Gardner got with me and we talked a little bit about the possibility of fire dispatch coming back to police dispatch, because they're currently being dispatched to the Williamson County Emergency Center up in Georgetown. It's in Georgetown. So years ago, police and fire were dispatched from one location. I can just tell you back then there were two chiefs that didn't like each other and one left. And I remember that. And it's been that way ever since. So as the county's grown and how even our center is way more professional than it was back in 1995, there were some issues that maybe Chief Kerr can talk about for some reasons why fire wanted to look at the possibility of coming back to Leander to have it dispatched from the station. In January 2019, the city hired a consulting firm called Mission Critical Partners, and basically their job was to come in and do an operational assessment of that particular communications center. It's 52 pages. I've read it several times. The takeaways that I took from that is one, that our current center right now could not accommodate bringing fire over today, because the amount of consoles that we have and the amount of staff that would be required to be able to dispatch both fire and police, because a police dispatcher has to be trained to be a fire dispatcher as well, so it's not one and the same. They've got to learn two different skills. On top of there needs to be stations for them to specifically dispatch for fire. The second, as you heard me say earlier, is the current facility is 850 square feet, and we would need to have at least 4,000 square feet to be able to properly house the amount of staff that it would take to run that, on top of the various rooms that we would need to have as far as a dispatch center that also has an emergency operations center connected. Ideally, the standard is to have them together, not in different parts of the city, which we have right now. Lastly is to build that type of structure, it either needs to be involved with something existing, which we don't have the room, or you have to build a standalone building for that to happen. With it being standalone, these particular buildings have standards where they need to be hardened from weather and from all other types of inclement issues or explosions and things like that. Currently with the station that we have now, it's a 2-story double wide and it's wood and steel or metal and not a hardened facility. So this is something that, and again, and I can jump in there wherever you want. It's just something to put it on the table, to kind of something to talk about, because there's some conversations that right now all of us pay a radio fee per radio for the county, but the conversations that I've heard was that there's going to be a cost coming per person that utilizes the dispatch center at the county. So there's going to be some fees that the city has not paid before that they're going to have to start paying here in the near future, for our understanding. So again, be glad to share that 52-page study with you. You can read it as well. It's really interesting and entertaining. But on the same note, it does open those hard conversations to be had on what's the next step for our communications center and whether or not fire comes back, and then what we need to do to facilitate that. So I don't know if you had anything else you want to throw in on there, but
No, if you're going to talk a little bit further, I can go into more detail as to
Yeah.
why we're considering the shift. So we can either do that now, or we can do that at the bigger meeting, whichever you prefer.
Greg, you got the range?
all right. So this is the one I like to talk about. So you'll see a slide here in a little bit. I don't know if Robert, we can even, oh, there you go, right there. So we've had our range since 2001. It's a 5-station, 25-yard range when it was first developed with 2 vertical baffles. In 2006, there was a bond task force that got together and recommended that the voters could, I guess, put it on the election roll, or the election to be voted upon, which the voters approved for us to expand the range, a $225,000 project, to a 50-yard range, and we added 6 more baffles, and we also added an agility course. About 3 years ago, I was having a conversation with Mr. Womack, and he was telling me that the current sewer treatment plant right there was going to be expanding in about 3 years, so I needed to find another place to shoot. Well, now it's 2019. It hasn't been built yet, thank goodness, because we're still able to go out there and shoot. So I had some conversations with previous management about the possibilities of moving the range, because we knew this expansion was possibly coming. So the first concept we had was looking at an open-air ranges, which is what we have now, which you can barely see. It's underneath that expansion there that I'm fixing to show you. But then the conversations turned to, open-air ranges, if you know Best of the West, which was an amazing place, has shut down because of the development that's taken place around there. Theirs was open airs. They weren't baffled in some areas, but there's always the concern of the one round that goes over and ends up somewhere that you don't want it to be. So I was asked to start looking from open-air ranges into indoor concepts to look at moving it to another location within the city. I spoke with Gina since she's come on, and I've learned this is titled, There's a Flow Development and Capacity Phasing Study, which basically has something to do with that right there. That, I guess once that's done, that will let us know how soon this project needs to happen. So this particular range project is basically just kind of based on what we find out from that study on here, that if this is 3 years out or 4 or 5 years out, that this is something that we can push to a little bit later on down the line if need be. Just kind of, our range right now, we've got over 10 agencies that use it right now, both federal, local, and state agencies that use it. We're the only live PD range on the west side of the county, other than Florence out at DPS. The other range that's open air is the Williamson County range out at Hutto. Some agencies have joined that range, but round trip, it's about 60 miles for us to get there and back. So the convenience of being able to train on site with our SWAT team and the networking that we do with other agencies has been just been amazing. The new range that we would be looking at, it would be a 12-lane 50-yard and a 5-lane 100-yard for sniper capabilities and training and long-distance rifles. And it'd be considered full tactical, so it'd be a building that's just basically steeled up, and you can shoot pretty much to your left, your right, and forward, just not behind you. So, but when you talk about indoor ranges, it's expensive. The range that we would look to build if we move would be built once, and it would never need to be built again for future generations. The 12 stations and the same with the 5 would build us out to full capacity for the city and the size of the city, and this would not need to be expanded upon then. So my fire chief, he's not here. He's in a training class right now, but he talks about kicking the can down the road. And I know, again, this is it's a expensive project, just because you're dealing with the indoor type facility. It's a little bit safer than an outdoor range. But things that we'd have to consider would just be finding the right place to do it, because we've been looking around the city where an open range like this would go, and it's difficult to find it internally because of what's growing. So the indoor seems to be the best option, but it's finding the right property where that would go, and then also the doing some of the design and engineering. So it was put in the CIP, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years ago, so it's kind of come up. And the cost that we looked at that point maybe for that open air range, but the initial cost for funding in there would be more for funding buying the land, whatever that cost at this point, and then also the design and engineering for such a large project. So, and I know we're gonna have some Q&A later, that I'd be glad to answer any questions I can on the current facility and what this one may look like in the future.
So I'm going to combine M18 and M19, the fire engine supplements. So best practice is that for every 2 frontline engines, we have 1 reserve. What that does for us is we periodically have to do preventative maintenance. We have to take an engine down, so we have that reserve engine in its place, so we have no loss of service. Currently, we have 2. One's 13 years old, the other is now hitting the end of life at 20 years old, and it's scheduled to be decommissioned here in the next 12 months. So that puts us down to 1 reserve with 5 engines. So that puts us kind of at a critical level to where if we have 1 engine on preventative maintenance and that engine has to come in, we have another engine come down, we don't have a replacement for it. Temporarily, what we're doing right now is we're doing some work on this 20-year engine to extend its life a little bit further. But that leads into fire engine supplement number 2. When we hit station 6, we're going to have 6 engines, so we're going to need 3 reserves. We're going to have to add a reserve. So our plan is with these supplements, is if approved, is we bring those new engines frontline, and those frontline engines would go to reserve and spend the rest of its life in reserve.
We're doing pretty good on time. Wayne, don't blow it.
We'll wait
Talking about water?
We're
Water
going to
and
move into
wastewater.
water. Lisa, are you ready first?
All right, everybody's favorite project, deepwater intake. Okay, Robert, can we get this one up? And I guess I gotta get the little corner thingy back. Yeah, we'll start there. All right, God almighty, is that small print? Okay, let's see if I can hit the, damn it, I hit the wrong button.
Oh, no, I don't think it worked.
Now, here we go. Okay, this is our water demand projections from, well, actually, this is water demand projections that I made back in 2005. All right, so 2019, our peak day was not 16.8. It was 15.29 MGD. But that does not include taking over Rancho Siena. As soon as our booster station is up and running, that's another 1,300 to 1,400 homes. Doesn't include Liberty Hill. It includes Liberty Hill's water, but Liberty Hill has just doubled their capacity, their raw water reservation in Lake Travis from 600 acre feet to 1,200 acre feet. Of course, we know that Liberty Hill has met with us and they're requesting water. So, pushing the deep water intake off, we have, Cedar Park wanted us to build a deep water intake in 2009. We had about 10,000 customers. I told them we'd have to have 20,000 customers before we would begin that process. We're at about 19.5 now. Robert and I have discussed to avoid raising water rates, we need to have 23,000 customers in order to do the deep water intake. So, looking at this, I don't have any ability to reduce our water demands considering Liberty Hill additional water sales, considering what's going on the north side of the river, the imminent takeover of Rancho Siena, I think we're still on track here with our projections. Now, I am talking to Round Rock. Round Rock is open to delaying. I mean, we'd like to delay this thing a couple of years, from 27, January 27, December 26, by a couple of years. Now, we can do that. What's driving this thing is, I guess, Robert, go to the next slide. What's driving this thing is this little point right here, this 32 MGD. Now, this is the capacity of the upgraded raw water barge, which is under construction right now. We're adding a sedimentation basin to increase capacity, and we're adding pumps to the raw water barge. Initially, during the planning phases, we thought phase 1C would only take us to 30 MGD. But in looking at pump selections, that type of thing, we believe that we can get 32 MGD out of this, which under the current water projections, ours, Round Rock's, and Cedar Park's, means that we exceed the raw water pumping capacity of that barge at the end of 26 or beginning of 27. And allegedly, it takes 5 years to tunnel this to complete this deep water intake project, which consists of a pump shaft that's 330 feet deep and 9,300 feet of 108-inch raw tunnel with 96-inch finished diameter with the liners in it, is what I recall. So, Round Rock spoke again today with Round Rock, with Michael Thane, their utility director. He and I have talked about this a couple of times. Round Rock right now is not taking water from the BCRUA. They plan on taking some small amounts to sell water to Georgetown. Georgetown's also seeking water from them. They just can't get enough of it, and they can't get it where they need it. They need to buy water from us. We assume that's still on tap, although Liberty Hill has begun to acquire, or Georgetown's begun to acquire some of their water responsibilities to Liberty Hill. That's why Liberty Hill wants to buy additional water, or have us treat and wheel additional water through our city to Liberty Hill. And we also expect to do that with Georgetown. We also have a requirement to do that with the Lively tract. So that's one of the reasons. The previous slide, we're only we're a million and a half gallons off of our 2019 projection. But when you consider Lively tract, Rancho Siena, and additional Liberty Hill water sales and additional Georgetown water sales, just can't lower that number. We can't lower our water demand, but Round Rock can lower theirs, and they are interested in discussing that and doing something about it, because they're here again. They're going to make a major expenditure. They made a major expenditure on this plant and all of the finished raw water lines, finished water lines, and have yet to take water. Matter of fact, they're paying a $200,000 penalty for not taking water, and they've been paying that penalty. Not quite that much. It's come up a little bit over time since 2014. So, which I sure am glad I don't have to sit in front of you and tell you something like that. We did something like that, because I would never be in that kind of situation. So, but that's, we are actively trying to push this back, because we absolutely don't want to have to raise water rates because of this project. That's been one of our goals from day one. All right. And the next one is the Brushy Creek Regional Wastewater Plant. Now, this slide here, all this area that you see in this color blue, even as it's speckled and spotted in various parts of the city, all of these flows from these areas, this is our Brushy Creek Regional Wastewater System service area. All of these flows go to just past the Dell Diamond on Highway 79 to what's called the East Plant. Right now we have an ILA. We're in the design. We've got the 90% plans in hand for a 10 MGD expansion of their 20 MGD plant. Of that 10 MGD, we have 4.23 MGD capacity. We're 42.3% of that process. We had anticipated that this construction would occur. They're about 6 months ahead of where we anticipated this in our budgeting process. They intend on starting advertising in November on this project. Whether they'll make it or not, I'm not sure. It's gonna be close. They intend on starting construction in March. Right now, the numbers that you see in front of you are approximate. We gotta wait till we see what the bid prices are. But of the 10 MGD expansion, like I say, we're paying 42.3% of that. I'm having some discussions and some disagreements with them over some upgrades to the other parts of the plant, which they erroneously thought that we would be paying 42.3% for, and which we will not. But I think we've got that worked out. We're going to be finalizing that in the next 4 weeks. Matter of fact, we have a meeting 4 weeks from today to discuss those issues, and I'm going to make sure that we don't get a bad deal out of the thing. But they had some ideas that they were going to go back and add additional components to the existing plant, and that we were also going to pay 42.3% of that. And I had to remind them of what their ILA said, and didn't say a word about doing any of that. So you may hear some more about that if we don't have an agreement. We may be recommending litigation if we have to, or something of that nature. We hope we don't go that far, but I hope they'll be reasonable. As a result of today's meeting, they are coming around to that idea and realize the error of their ways previously.
Okay. We're going to close the first section with Gina, and then we're going to let y'all have
I don't think I have any.
Gina.
Similar to the Brushy Creek, we're also at the Leander plant looking at a plant expansion. As we saw on this slide here, we're going from the 2.25 million gallons to increasing it by 3 million gallons to 5.25. The other graph that Wayne had with the basins, as development goes and increases in that Reagan corridor, the need for this plant is gonna grow as well for treatment capacity. DCEQ requires that the design's underway when we're at 75% capacity, and right now we're about 58% capacity.
Say again?
We're at 58%.
58. So
give or take. And so we have a study, like Chief Minton, 1.3.
Okay.
Yeah, Chief Minton mentioned we have a study underway to kind of do a deeper dive into this flow analysis, development, growth in that area, and kind of hone in a little bit more on the time, and if we could potentially phase some, so we don't have to, eat all the cost at once. We can phase some of this, and then kind of get a better idea of the price as well. So that's all I have.
just a note on that, all the development in the Northland area is going to be going to that plant.
That's it.
We haven't had a tremendous, well, all of Savannah Ranch does.
Divine Lake.
We've got,
All the yellow.
got
All the
a lot of,
yellow. Yeah,
lot of
all the
new
yellow,
a
the
lot of new
line.
projects coming on board that are going to, will probably turning dirt over there in 3 or 4 years, if not sooner.
So, Mayor, what we hope to do in this next round is to go over the projects that have funding in the fiscal 2020 column, and then let y'all ask questions, make comments, fully engage with the directors. So the first project in the FY20 column is the Lakewood Park stage. So, Mark, is there anything you needed to refresh or cover at this point before they start asking questions about the stage?
I don't really think so. There was four proposals that were out there that ranged again from 7 to basically 1.4. I think one of the things, if I could bring out also, is that there was a smaller performance stage and overlook that was included in the original park plan, and we pulled back on that as part of the park, basically because I could never really put my hands or just grasp the original return on the value, the recreation value of that small overlook. And so when we came down to it, it was just not really something we funded. However, as we move forward, a larger stage that can accommodate more makes much more sense. So I'll open up for questions.
So you want to do it that way, just go through each one? Okay, so the differences between the roofs, is there a size difference, or would they all accommodate? The basic stage floor is the same, correct?
That's correct. So if you'll switch back to one of them, Mike. So, for example, that one, that's the brim. On the upper right-hand corner, you will see a scaffolding of all that can be set up by a stage company. They come in, they set up the scaffolding, their lights, their sound, everything else. So everything was our goal was to be able to get that scaffolding and staging in under those canopies.
Now, on the wrap, and there will be no wrap there if
Yeah.
I can help it.
That was
Sorry,
my,
bad joke.
sorry, that was my least favorite too. I shared that with them. I said, "Do you want to leave this one out?" And they were like, "No."
So with that one, would the demands for the scaffolding be the same, or could they
Yes, you can see up again the upper right. You can go ahead and put the
Same
scaffolding in.
same kind of space? Okay.
Yes,
Just a different.
But that one's half the cost, right?
that is.
Because it's you.
It sure is.
Because it's what?
Because it's what?
The ugliest. Okay, it's the ugliest.
Oh my God.
All the guys.
Material, yes.
All of us are like this.
The way that my understanding is
I actually like it the
the form, like
I
for
actually
example,
like
that
it the
one,
best.
which is sloped, and the materials, the metal, and how that is processed and built is a lot. It costs more.
As somebody that's seen a lot of overhangs floating through the air in a storm like we just had, I mean, is there any kind of advantage to the wrap as far as stability and not?
I really don't know the answer to that question. I know they would all have a wind load that they would have to sustain. It's probably in the neighborhood of 110 miles per hour. I think that's the ones that we have out. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It's either from 90 to 110 typically, and that's what the stage that we have out at the little stage at the amphitheater at Bledsoe. It was rated when we bought those new sails a year ago. They were rated, I think, at 110 miles per hour. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, just whether they're all the same.
Okay.
So originally, when we had this in, the money was allocated. Was it diverted somewhere else?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay.
You said it was
So
small. It was small.
It just came down to a limit of, go ahead, Robert, you want to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you could talk about where the funding would come from and the Thursday night agenda item that you've got.
Correct. So this is up there on Thursday night. There's a couple of reasons. If you desire to move forward with this, one of them at some point, we need to take advantage of our current contractor that's on site. When I asked about the additional, if they demobilize, we came back, funded it in a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. They were looking anywhere from a 20 to 25% increase to remobilize, which is $250 on the narrow end, all the way up to maybe $300,000 on the high end. So so we're taking advantage of current contractor that's on site for that. We requested up to no more than 1.5, but I think we can move that down some. And where we're looking at potentially taking this from is selling bonds from the San Gabriel property a little bit earlier to help pay for this.
I like the wrap for a variety of reasons, but obviously,
I think it's pretty.
He's setting me
It
up
is.
so that it's my fault that it's more expensive.
That's what he's doing.
I would never do that.
Can I ask you, so the original funding for this Lakewood Park? Okay, I don't have it here. Did we hit that budget, or were there amendments? Did we go over? Because I don't see that.
Our total budget is a little over $8.2 million, and that included about let's round it up, $550,000 of contingencies, which is a very small contingency for that amount of project. We are still well below our 500,000. We are at 172 or something along those lines at this point.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good.
So there is some additional dollars there but we just don't know what's going to happen in the next, 90 to 90 days or so. That we want to make sure that we still have enough in case there's other things that come up. But if there is dollars left, and I'm anticipating there will be dollars that will come off of this amount that you may approve on Thursday night. Does that
Any
make
other
sense?
questions?
How much are we at in the park?
8.2 total.
That's where we're at right now.
Yes, sir.
What was the original bond?
That's
Yeah,
the
we-
original
we
amount.
complete.
1.2, we're dead on.
We're dead on.
And so the overlook structure,
There was quite a few other things that we did not fund. There was, I mean, I can send you a list. There was several more items that, parking, additional lighting. I mean, there was things within the overall scope that our funding, the level of our funding would not accomplish at this point. So,
from the original bid, is that what you're saying?
correct.
Okay,
So when we hit that threshold of what those bids were, we
Started it.
prioritized and
Okay.
brought that to council and said, this is where we're at, and one of those was that overlook.
okay.
All right, so City Hall Park?
That was actually in the next year, so if we could,
You're at San Gabriel Park now?
if we could
Oops.
get our,
Well,
It's a little hard to see.
that's in the next year?
we were gonna cover that in the next
Oh, you
section.
were. Okay,
Yeah,
What if we
you wanna
can-
move it up?
move it up to
All right.
the
No,
next
Robert,
year.
I wouldn't
City
push
Hall
it.
Park,
Move it to
he's
20.
got the hammer, so.
City Hall and Old Town, same park, right?
Yeah.
My bad. Okay, Mark?
Okay, I think I've really shared a lot about how this can be a benefit. We're seeing a lot of downtown park areas that have, the key word is gentrification. And it's really just a renovation and remodeling of areas that have struggled in downtown communities across our nation. And one of the things that is being seen and helping is a park of this size, of this caliber. However, it's just a little, it's not even, just slightly over 3/4 of an acre, 0.82 acres. There is some really, to me, some cool elements, not only to the park, but into the whole area. But again, that's up to you for your questions and how the rest, how can this impact the rest of Old Town positively? And I think I brought out some of the stuff on economic impact, so I'm open to questions.
So, obviously, everybody, most people know I'm a big advocate of this one. And there's a couple of reasons why, as we talk about, North Line coming on, we don't know how long that's gonna be. That could be a 10-year build-out for all we know, that will significantly contribute to sales tax, to, property tax. We have spent the money on brush seed. We've talked for years about how to get Old Town and make it something special where people are coming in. Just a couple things that came to my mind. This would be one of the only parks that is accessible from all areas of the city because of the central location, right? So we talk about Lakewood and, a lot of these bigger parks, we get the land dedicated by a developer, but it's kind of tucked away inside of a neighborhood. Treviso is going to come to mind when that comes up. Lakewood Park. We talked early on 3-4 years ago about how San Gabriel, maybe, the statement then that, it kind of benefits a lot of people in the ETJ as much as it does anybody else. Now, to me, the dinosaur tracks and what you could end up making that and the ball field, so it's a draw to get people from outside the city into the city, right? So,
Absolutely.
and I mean, we all know about Glen Rose, that, their economic impact is like $23 million a year from just dinosaur tracks, and they're better than ours. I mean, our dinosaur looked just as good as their dinosaur. It also takes Old Town up a notch. When you think about what needs to happen in this area, you know, putting something like that just gives it a wow. It kind of lifts it up. It makes Old Town a destination. You know, somebody sent me something early on when I first started this conversation on the dinosaur tracks of a park in California that they used to take their kids to in Laguna Beach. And she was like, people would come, it was always packed, right? So I'm not saying it's going to be a dinosaur park, but I do think it will be something where people go, well, that's a cool place to hang out, and I can, you know, go across the street, you know, the kids can play. So it brings in more people, leading to busier venues like AJ's, like Beer Market, like Smooth Village, maybe something on a vacant lot there, or in an old house. And I think it'll bring new businesses, and I think it adds a fun element, which is why on the one side we put some, you know, some courts for bocce ball or cornhole, things like that. So to me, you know, I think about revenue, right? So everything is, what is it going to bring? And this has a clear return, right? So anyway, that's what I wanted to add.
So my only thought on this, I love it. I looked at the pictures, I love it. Wish I had little kids, no I don't. Anyway, my concern is not knowing when North Line is gonna actually go vertical, and we haven't even made the decision if that's where City Hall is gonna go. What's our plan for office space, having just met in a closet for a couple hours with today? That's my only
I don't need
concern.
to know that.
It's a small
The door was
office.
open.
It was a small office. Anyway, we're out of space.
Yeah.
So,
And you
how do
know
we
what?
balance
And I know we're going to skip ahead, but since you brought it up,
okay,
you know, but when you start thinking about a city hall, and I've had conversations recently, and other cities like Hutto, and you know, I talked to a lot of the people at TML that build city halls,
Yep.
and you know, they pointed out some around the Dallas area where they brought in the police in with the city hall. So then you think about maybe a basement, you know, shooting range. So you start adding up all the cost of shooting range and expansion of the police force, you know, and then you go, well, you know, I mean, that's $6 billion. I mean, it'd be better if we just had the land given to us and we build a nice big city hall with all of us, and then you can sell your building, and I expect you to get a really good tenant
price.
in with a lot of jobs.
It's got a
No,
lot
I
of
mean,
market value.
so I think logically, when you start adding up, and I do believe that we could subdivide the offices and bring in companies to Old Town, which again gets
Right.
more people here during the day. So I think there's so many things that make sense. I don't even know, like, is it feasible here? I mean, think about parking, you know, and AJ's across the street has been
I know.
talking about that. We do pick up quite a few parking spaces with this park as well.
Yeah,
So,
that is nice.
but that's something to think about. Okay, thank you, Mark.
I think one of the, if I may be speaking out of turn, but one of the missing components to me is the LISD offices, administrative offices. And is there an opportunity to do something like this, to keep them downtown during lunch hour or even after their work? I don't know how many employees they have over here, but it's got to be
It's a lot.
several hundred, a couple hundred anyway.
Yeah.
And so by doing something like this, will it increase economic development, revenue, economic development that they'll take advantage of and not want to leave this area?
Absolutely.
And so
You're
that's
right.
another way of looking at it.
I mean, you think about the possibility of a sandwich shop, a Sharks Burgers coming in, and all of a sudden then, it's a great day outside. Let's go grab a burger at Sharks and eat in the park, you know?
I guess the only other thing is how do you win timing, and how do we how do you want us to bring this forward? If you want to do it now, do you want to wait a year? What is timing? We need some direction from you.
Well, for me, it would be the bonds could be sold for San Gabriel. I mean, we're not going to use them, for a few years, and then resupplied. That bucket could be filled back up with, again, parkland dedication fees. So I know that fund the last couple of years has been pretty substantial, almost $1 million a year. So you could pay that back pretty quick.
I just didn't know how you want us to approach it do you want us to come
I would favor
November
it
7th and say,
ASAP.
okay.
Just because it's something
I'm
that
just trying to,
I
I'm saying
understand. You can do something like that quick, and which, again, I think about the business that just came in. How do I help that business, as well as attracting others too, which again will help that business.
So the first step would be to get a design proposal,
Yes.
which you could bring that back to council at some point.
I can't.
I don't know, off of,
Well, do they need to approve anything for funding mechanism to get the design?
well, we would need to,
Yeah.
we would need to
Absolutely.
identify that.
What?
See if council
Right.
approves.
If they approve and move forward, then, okay.
What, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, these funds that we're talking about, these hypothetical funds, are in the parkland bucket already.
They are in the bond for San
These are
Gabriel
bonds,
Park
not.
that have not been sold
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Correct. So there's roughly, between the trail and the park, 12 and a half, something along those lines.
So we would be looking at the park projects, the trail projects, and prioritizing them or reprioritizing them to fund this, or not?
The trail project. There were, in the bond task force report, they had $10 million identified for improvements to San Gabriel Park, and then $2 million something for the
Correct.
San Gabriel Trail.
That's correct.
So those are the only bonds that we haven't sold yet.
Okay.
And what Mark is saying is that we could redesignate those to these one or both of these projects.
Or three. Sorry.
Or three. Yes.
The one with San, the
Yeah.
trailhead.
So,
Yeah.
so,
You still have to sell the bond,
And then you have to
but then when
pay
you
debt
came
on it.
time to develop San Gabriel Park, you'd have a little bit less than what you.
so let me make sure I'm hearing this correctly. A bond was presented to the people of Leander for San Gabriel Parks and Trails. And we want to take that money and put it towards another project.
No, just a
No?
small portion of the,
But-
Was
portion.
it
But we
designated
wanted-
for San Gabriel? That was the question.
It was
That
just
would be-
parks, right?
I think it was just done as part.
It was.
It wasn't for San Gabriel.
No, the bond task force came up with a dollar amount with recommended park projects.
So they just said $80 million for parks.
Well,
I mean, approximately.
26 million for parks.
26 million parks.
And it had all these projects where that came from. But what was voted on by the council was a generic proposition on parks in general. That's why we can use that money on any park project,
Because the council.
because the way the
Well, the way the ballot
Okay.
read.
I'm just making sure, y'all.
Yeah, it was-
Y'all get mad.
That's good.
Yeah, it was
No,
part.
no, no.
Yeah.
No,
Park
the-
in general.
the road bonds were different. Those were listed by project, so we can't deviate on the road bonds.
Yeah, if it says San Gabriel, that's
So-
all you can spend it on.
So let me ask my second part. Which would be more beneficial to the entire city of Leander? A $1.5 million stage or a park here in Old Town? If you had to choose. Let's say you couldn't get both of them. Which one, in your opinion, would be?
Cut the
I'm asking Mark,
the
Mayor.
one at the wrap with
Look,
200,000
I know y'all like
left
spend
over, so
money.
we're only
I know.
$500,000.
You can.
Mark, you got the floor.
Oh, my goodness.
Can I ask you a question
I
real
would-
quick though? And maybe this helps with your question. So initially, I remember the talk in San Gabriel about the San Gabriel Park was a $20 million build out, correct?
I would say you're probably pretty close to that.
Okay.
When it's total.
Okay.
We're talking about phasing it over 10 years, let's say.
But if you, so we have a funding mechanism to kind of refill that bucket, if that makes any sense. And if we did a scaled down version, which would be maybe something like what you showed at, interactive little center, and then, ball fields that you could have some tournaments in and draw people in, right?
That's correct.
So
That's
you've now got,
that's the plan.
you've now got 2 draws to bring people to Leander, correct? So that's what excited me. It wasn't about building a nice park that people are going to lay out on a beach towel in. It was going to be, ball fields like Humeson County or, out there on 45 that bring in tournaments all the time, right? A real economic driver. So,
Where I came from, we had adult and girls softball, and we hosted tournaments. And typically, a 125-team tournament would bring in between $1 and $1.2 million economic impact to our community. That's hotels, that's restaurants, retail, those type of things.
We don't have
Gas,
none of that yet.
and everything else. I'm sorry?
We don't have none of
Yeah,
that yet.
I mentioned that, I think, at our retreat, that we don't have all those
We
things
don't have
yet.
those.
But we're not going to be playing next summer yet either. So
we actually have a meeting set up, just FYI, with a Marriott developer that's interested in putting a Marriott in Leander. So,
But let me also share that some of our
What'd you
park
say?
facilities
Just
also
don't put it in my neighborhood.
help bring in corporate giants like Hankook Tires,
NIMBY?
LG Electronics, those type of things came in because of 2 things, schools and parks. And that's what they
Employers.
said. That's right.
Yeah.
Hankook Tires from South Korea, they moved their North American headquarters there because of 2 things, schools and parks.
Mark, could you run some hypotheticals on how long it might take to refill that? Let's say that the San Gabriel was taken out of bond money that's earmarked, or the Lakewood for San Gabriel, and then the other also, how long would it take based on the projections for anything in multifamily, for instance, that we might have on the ground that might be parkland dedication? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
May I make a comment? I
Mhm.
just want to throw it out there.
You got a credit card?
5-year plan, I wish. Since this is a 5-year plan, we've already allocated some of those funds towards other projects. I believe the Treviso facility or Treviso recreational facilities is
I
set
don't
to
think
be
we've read,
funded.
if we haven't allocated any funds to that.
Well, in our 5-year outlook.
Oh, 5-year outlook.
5-year
Right,
outlook.
I get
So
you.
there are some
Yeah.
projects kind of out in that 5-year look, which obviously, per y'all's direction, we can allocate however you want
Right.
in Mark's. But
That
I
was
did
before
want
these
to
projects came.
point that out, that there are other projects in
Right.
line that would have to bump out.
Mel Mathis, or
Depending on-
the
yes.
Leander Commons in the TOD.
And then I think that just comes back to which is going to do the most,
Us, we own
have the
strip
biggest
mall across
return.
from DCC.
And I live in Treviso, don't get me wrong, I'd love a little park out there, or a big park,
Where-
but Treviso.
Yeah.
But then you really get back into how many people are going to use it.
Right.
I mean,
I just wanted to point that
Yeah.
out, that
yeah.
Well, that's a good point.
At
We'd have to move those back,
At Lakewood, you said 10,000 people on that lot?
at least.
At least.
Get nine people per square foot, I mean, I was coming up with figures of over 20,000 people.
And so, for example, if we were to have, a music festival, would we rent that stage out to the, promoters of that?
Could be Live Nation, like I mentioned
Right.
in my background, the executive summary could be somebody like Live Nation. Live Nation loves putting on, well, they'll do stadium concerts, but they love going into venues that are about 5,000 to 7,000 people and bringing in your, big names from the 70s, 80s, even early 90s, that some of your, those tours, Kansas or Boston or whatever. They do, and that's what Live Nation really does. But we also have Hotspot, which is, and they're pretty similar.
Right.
They're Double Eagle Entertainment is here in our local area as well. So, and there's several more who would probably love to come in and rent out a space like that.
So it could be a revenue generator for us.
Should be a revenue generator for us.
If it's, something
That's right.
pretty spectacular like that.
Correct.
Does our current parking situation at that park,
That's the tough part.
right, that's my concern.
That's the tough
It's
part.
the high school,
And
right?
we have, between Wiley Middle and the high school, the Central Baptist Church, or the Central Church, I don't think the Baptist anymore, but Central Church, Life Church, Generations Church.
Okay.
Between those, we have 3,000 parking spots that we could possibly take advantage of, and we've already reached out to LISD. They're very interested in helping us, at least with their portion. We'll have to work, we're talking about Liberty Fest. So we think we can get, we can get all 3,000, and that doesn't include the PAC. PAC has quite a few more parking spots. So 3,000 at basically 3 people per vehicle is 9,000 people, which is a really good venue and amount to control for Liberty Fest.
And Cat Metro
once you
just
get that
said they
point,
would-
that's it.
they
Cat
would
Metro
help
would be
us,
involved,
you know.
and it'd be a simple loop. Literally going up and making the loop, coming down, you get 4 or 5 buses, and you're dropping people off every 10 minutes, picking them up and going. That's our
Hurry,
goal.
get right away done.
It'll have to be done before that happens.
So the next one,
Yep.
Wayne, you're up.
T11.
San Gabriel.
Questions?
Do we even need to talk about this one? Since there needs to be more discussed and it needs to be figured out?
There's gonna be much
Okay.
more discussion. You'll have lots of opportunities to deal with this project, make recommendations or decisions.
This is the first San Gabriel, not the one between 183 and 183A.
I think that's what we're,
This is
well, well,
Just making sure we're on the
right,
same
he's just
line.
talking about 2A and 2B.
Okay. I was thinking North Line.
And what I remember from the discussion on the Hero Wave County bond proposition is that some of the funds that we had identified for this project from previous COs, what I remember council saying is hold off on that because you may want to use those for the city's match. It won't be all of the city's match, the 13 million. So, did we hear that correctly, or?
I didn't hear what Jason said. Is he talking about,
I said, let's not spend any money.
I know, well, I knew that, but T38, is that what you're talking about?
Well, in T38, no. T41 is the county bond project, but, so that's our match.
Right.
15.9 million. And what I recall from the council discussion on this item is that hold off on spending any more money on San Gabriel from the 2016 COs, because those can be used for any road project.
Right.
So, right now, we have a little over $5 million of unspent 2016 COs that 4 months ago, when staff was working on the CIP, that was headed towards expansion of and completion of San Gabriel. So that got more knowledgeable people here that I'm looking at. So.
And that 5 million is from the savings on Baghdad, so,
And that's 13.9, not 15.9.
yes, 13.9.
Did I say 15?
No, you're padding it.
Slide
I never add money.
I don't know what order we're going in.
So the next one would be T22, Gina, County Road 280, reconstruction. Any questions from
So-
council?
I've been talking to John Lloyd, and he is ready to do phase 2. So he was under the impression that he had to do the road all the way, because he was told he had to do the road all the way. And that's been his holdup. So I think the question is, and I've been telling him that we might be able to come up with a way where when the Lackey track develops, sense?
If he paid for the road.
If he pays for the road now?
Well, it's just a source of funds. I mean, when Lackey comes in, they will have some
If it's
potential
already-
TA in lieu or some boundary street improvements. But if the road's already improved, that's kind of an issue.
Yeah.
Now, we might possibly, there may be some legal or legislative ways to deal with that.
Right, it's not something we've done before, but I've heard that there are.
Yeah.
I know at one time we had, an acceptable development agreement with them about the whole deal, and they were gonna pay, oh my goodness, I think they had agreed to $2,200 a peak hour trip, or $2,200, I believe, on that, and then, that was an agreeable development agreement, but then other parties in my chain of command raised that to $6,000, which made it unpalatable.
Right. So he would do like to the end of Greatwood going
West
east. So, I mean, again, if there's a way to have them, he could stop right there. And then theoretically, when that other track develops, then they would take it up and do in front of theirs.
And that, certainly that part of the road is gonna remain there unchanged. I believe we've got Leander 61, I believe, is talking about making this connection, or they're stubbing out to this location here. Now, realize this is an old alignment. Actually, there's still some pavement on the ground there. The road actually goes this way. I wish the appraisal district would get that thing off their, because it doesn't do this either. So, I mean, but they've got it laid out like that, and it's wrong. But I know before we talked to Laura, we were talking about basically rebuilding this entire section here to urban standards, curb and gutter and storm sewer, because we've got such a huge water issue there. We've got to have, proper drainage. That's what's killing us right now. Is that actually, there's a low point right here. You've got flow coming all down to the road here, or coming across the road even, groundwater flow going under the road. That's the problem. It's going under the road and it's turning into just junk.
Well, I guess would it make sense to see if we can come up with a mechanism to allow him to get reimbursed off of future funds somehow, and when that other track develops, if it can be done.
I mean, we could get minor amounts. I mean, what would? Well, this is a nightmare. I hate to even utter the word roadway impact fees, because you talk about a political football and a political hot potato, and just.
Can you do it just on one section?
We could establish one, sir. I don't know. Your service areas for roadway impact fees are a maximum of 6 miles in any direction. The last time we did this back in 2010, 2009, 2010, we had 6 different service areas. Now, things were a lot different in 2010, but we had an order of magnitude between this area, for example, you'd pay $100 a peak hour trip. In this area, you'd pay $1,000 a peak hour trip. Well, wow, is that hard to explain?
Yeah.
Now, we've built a lot of roadways since then. It might be a lot different situation now. It may be that what we do is maybe we work this thing out. We've got this budget item here for good or for bad. Maybe we just rebuild the road and he repays us through, a certain assessment per lot, a negotiated roadway impact fee. It depends on how many lots he's gonna do. If I assume he's still planning on doing
It's
the
around
lower density.
90,
Right,
something like that.
This number, reconstruction of what's there, or improving it to an urban with curb and gutter?
I think it's just reconstruction. I don't think it's the full,
No,
Like
that wouldn't handle everything. It
it's
wouldn't
pretty
handle water
small
quality.
for that stretch of road.
Well, then maybe, here's the thing, maybe he pays what it costs just for the surface, and at least it helps us pay for it, since it's right in front of his.
I mean, we could investigate funding mechanisms. Is it,
I need to talk with Paige about
Okay.
what we might be able to come up with there. Of course, one of the things I'd love to do, we've had $126 in lieu of TIE fee for years now, and I'd love to see that go to 200 or 250 myself, but that's another question for another day.
and we do have.
I wish I could get
districts
as
that
much for
refund
roadways
things,
as Mark
so we
can
should
get
be
for
able to-
parks, so.
So we can figure out what we can do here. Maybe there's some options,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, do you want me to, is that something I need to start talking to Danny Martin and John about?
Yeah, in
Okay.
fact, he just reached out to me recently.
Okay, all right.
Gina, you're next. T38, or any council questions on Zero Way repaving?
I have some questions on that. Why would we patch that over with some duct tape when we're hoping to,
Make it a bigger corridor.
Yeah. And we'll know in, what, 30 days?
Sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not very positive. It was a project that was
That's
probably.
Oh, good, that's easy.
She inherited it.
That's
I
easy.
inherited this one.
That's easy.
I mean, it is in poor condition, and
It is.
And Pat was clear that we weren't doing any
Right.
expansion
Right.
as far as.
Right.
but
Because
it makes-
we may need to help build one of those two
We
frontage
need,
roads.
we need to put that money to better use.
Done.
He's happy.
Push
Well,
it out.
yeah, I mean,
Push it out more.
do you hear what's happening?
Pays for a part.
No, there's projects that some people think are good and think are not so good. And I wish that y'all felt the ability to come out and say, okay, this is a horrible project, y'all need to
That's-
kill it.
I mean, yeah, 280 was like that because we've done some repairs, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
not quite enough, yeah.
I just wish y'all
And
had,
this-
felt like y'all could
It's hard.
What about the
Screen,
roundabout? We skipped that one.
Oh, no, we didn't.
Wayne said.
Dead meat.
yeah. We
It's
killed
gonna
it.
be
We already killed
revived,
it.
no more than a traffic signal of a.
DOA.
DOA, that's gonna go to a future traffic signal. Whenever you guys get enough complaints to spend $500,000, so.
We'll have-
It used to be one of the top 10 accident intersections, but I saw, I think it fell off. Yeah.
All right,
Excuse
let's
me,
keep,
finally
let's,
saw the flashing light.
Says it worth keeping on
let's
the
keep
list.
going.
I think so.
Chief Curd, just,
Did you want to do the
Circle.
gun range?
Well,
no, the gun range is dependent on the wastewater plant. So just any questions on the fire engine reserve?
wait, we skipped over Brushy Creek Regional Pond.
That's not in the 20
That's
column.
it.
We're
Oh,
gonna-
I'm sorry. You
fiscal year
keep
20.
saying that. I'm sorry.
We're gonna get to those, so. Any questions on the fire engine replacement, issue with the reserves?
Okay, it seems to me, I mean, I understand that we need one because we're going to retire one. My question in regards, it kind of ties to fire station number 6.
The second supplement does tie to fire station number 6.
Okay, so we'll wait until Robert says we can talk about it.
I like that.
That's a robust year.
Okay, yes, please.
He's got this whip, but no one can see it. Okay, go ahead.
Then the last project in this section is the Brushy Creek Regional Plan. WW
Well,
29.
it's both the deep water intake and the.
No, the deep water is the next round.
It says
Next
20.
next.
Yeah, it says 20.
It says 20.
Well, that's the design that's already underway.
Oh, you're saying 22.
We're talking about the $80 million construction.
Oh,
That's-
yes.
you know,
So,
Well, did we release the 4 million for 20? Or
Yes.
That's the money we borrowed from the Water Development Board. that
this way?
The deferred loan.
okay.
We, it's interest-free, payment-free for 8 years. So.
Or until the facility goes into operation.
No, they told me this one is free and clear. It's not tied to subsequent.
Well, it's always, my
Anyway.
understanding's always been when it goes into operation, then we would begin to pay back.
Okay, and
But
we've
either
already
way,
spent the
It's
4
about
million.
the same length
We're
of time,
spending
it's
it.
7, 8 years out.
The funds were borrowed in 2018. And
And it's the final design funds, the preliminary design was previously completed, and this is the final design.
but if we could finish this section with the regional wastewater plant. So as Wayne mentioned, we had anticipated this hitting our capital budget in FY '21, but it appears it's going to hit FY '20 because we got 3 other regional partners. Setting aside the final cost and whether it's in the 38 million or 40 plus million, the way the ILA is structured with the city of Round Rock is each partner city pays 25% of its share at each draw. So what we would be looking at is in the neighborhood of $10 or $11 million on that first draw, and then another 10 or 11 at 50%, and another 8 or 9, 10 at the 75, whatever. Looking at our fund balance in the utility fund and our wastewater impact fees, we have enough to make that first payment out of reserves this year.
The 25%.
The 25%.
And they did agree to your 30% proposal today, Robert.
Oh, okay. But then the next year, in FY '21, when we had planned on it, there's no way out of it. We would need to borrow funds for this project. We may want to borrow half, or we may want to borrow the whole. But when we borrow the money in FY '21, depending on growth, but if we stay at the growth that we've been on, we're still looking at a $4 to $5 rate increase on the average sewer bill. Not this year, but next year.
And so to be clear, is the 11.5 million for 20, is that the 25%?
That's the 25% on the high side of the estimate, yes.
So you said we could borrow half. If we only borrowed half, then,
Break it up in 2 borrowings, depending on.
okay, but that doesn't change the fact that we'd have to go up.
So,
Project construction period is at 30 months, 2.5 years. It could. The engineer says 3 years. The operations committee is pounding on to make it 30 months, but it's going to be between 2.5 and 3 years, so between 30 and 36 months.
And this expansion covers us for what, the entire basin?
That is going to be everything we ever build in that particular basin. Now, it's slightly less. We have 5.4 or 5.5 MZD capacity all the way to Round Rock, depending on which line segment it is, but just say 5.4, 5.5. We believe that the 4.23 will serve us for build out in the basin that is served.
Which is the light blue.
Which is the blue.
The light blue?
The light blue, yes. We believe that's we're done there. I mean, we've got that taken care of. When our existing wastewater treatment plant here goes to 5.25, based on calculations I did years ago, we needed 5 MGD at that location for the service area, for build out in the service area using, I can't remember whether they used 3.5 or 4 LUEs per acre. I believe they used 3.5, because it'd be a mix of high density and mix of low density involved in that. Some of the low density won't even have wastewater. And of course, we have the Treviso plant also, which is a no discharge plant that handles all of Treviso's flows. But yes, that we should be done in perpetuity at the Round Rock plant.
And so how is the dark blue?
That goes to Liberty Hill. That's a wholesale wastewater agreement with Liberty Hill. All those flows.
These speckled.
Oh, well, I'm talking.
No, I meant the north.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay.
The big, yeah.
All of this. Lively is a wholesale agreement with Georgetown. All of this goes to the Liberty Hill plant.
Okay. And is there any way we can, I mean, there's a lot of undeveloped land on this east side. Is there any way to push this ILA out or not? No, I mean in the blue.
Oh, this one,
Yeah.
unfortunately, no,
Okay.
on the wastewater, we're basically all in. It's just that we misjudged the schedule by 6 months. I think they're pushing it for one. I don't know exactly
Okay.
why. I suspect we're gonna see, I don't think we'll see a March construction start. I wouldn't be surprised to see it be June, but I've gotta be prepared for March because that's the schedule that they are on.
And so this agreement's been made for years. We're committed.
Since 17, I believe it is, Robert, was ILA?
I don't recall,
Okay.
but,
How much could we make by treating Liberty Hills water, like this new 600?
Well, we're
We're not,
talking about
not really set up for it. They're
I'm
actually
talking
treating.
about revenue to the utility fund.
Well, I don't think that that's viable. Because Liberty, first off, we already have a main lift station and collection system that we spent 54.22% of on a $5.5 million project for the lift station. Force main, the lift station was built in lieu of a wastewater treatment plant. We actually had a permit for a wastewater treatment plant where the main lift station is now, that was going to be in phases up to 900,000 gallons a day. And we had that permit, and then we were able to make the wholesale agreement with Liberty Hills so that we didn't have to build a wastewater plant. Liberty Hills wastewater plant is, oh gosh, where is it? About right.
you're talking about selling
Yeah,
more
sorry
water.
about
It's
water.
not water.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's okay.
Okay,
I-
all right, I'm sorry. Well, I
Don't
was
ever
on
mix your water
wastewater
with your
there.
wastewater.
Yeah.
But he's
No.
looking,
Okay.
he's looking at
Right.
money. I
Oh,
think.
well, I'd like to make, $10 a gallon on it, but, no.
We're currently charging them $272,000. So, what is that? $27,000 a million, gallons, so. They're not taking their full, 2,700.
Okay, so-
No, they're not taking their full 600 acre feet yet, which, our
They've got a
current,
couple of neighborhoods supposedly that they're
They're,
about to.
they're in the process of gearing up for all of that, Mayor. I don't know the details on where they are as far as their demand projections, but they are definitely taking over some of what Georgetown.
Could that be a couple $1 million a year in revenue?
that'd be a lot more water. I think we brought in a couple 100,000 this past year, but this was the first year that they were starting to take reliably.
Okay. Well, they're losing Georgetown, and then they gotta get it somewhere.
Well, there's no place for Georgetown, anybody else to get it over here in the west end of Williamson County, except through Leander. Believe me, Georgetown has tried, and Chisholm tried for years, and that's one of the reasons they.
I'm sorry to divert, I was just curious.
So what I think we need to be able to, we staff need to be able to communicate back to the ILA partners before Thanksgiving is that the city of Leander is good for its share, however we come up with the money. Because if we're not, or there's gonna be delays, that impacts them, and, I don't know what that does. But
Well, I think regardless of what we do, and we're talking wastewater here, correct?
correct. Yeah.
I mean, if we, first off, we're committed in the ILA to participate. Now, we did broach that topic today, we've broached it before, about possibly delaying our participation, maybe doing a wholesale agreement with them, but there again, that's gonna have, I guess Round Rock would be making up for our share on that. So, I mean, we haven't really explored that possibility in depth because we thought that we could forward this project, you know, even with the 6-month delta on the timing.
If we delayed it by, if we could delay it by a year, what
Well-
does that do to that $4?
No, we're talking about wastewater, and we're
Yeah,
talking wastewater, and he's talking about a $4 or $5 increase in your wastewater
Right.
bill.
The fees.
Right, and that's $5 a month, Robert, that's not, you know, right now, I think it's based about $265 per 1,000, plus your flat rate based on your winter average flows, I believe that's the way it works.
you delayed it by a year and spread that out over 2 years, does that change it?
It just pushes things out.
It's still
1
gonna,
year.
it doesn't
And
change.
it doesn't really help us a whole
It
lot,
helps,
it'd
but
be
it-
consternation on a lot of them. But, I mean, it's something that could be doable. Oh, I'm sorry, Robert.
No, and I don't want to, these were rough cut estimates.
Yeah.
And, you know, the deep water intake and the expansion of the existing Leander plant, all these
Right.
moving pieces, you know, so I was just looking at,
I wonder if
kinda
the added growth at 12% a year would offset where customers wouldn't see maybe more than $1 or 2.
yeah. Well, my estimates assume 7.5%.
He's always conservative. That's a
But,
good thing.
you know, just this past year, we had, you know, a record number of building permits, but that didn't translate
Right.
into water sales.
Right.
It's weather dependent.
Yeah.
So, gotta be careful about a 1-to-1 correlation on every new house adds. You know, it will in some years, but not every year.
We can require St. Augustine.
Yeah,
Well,
I do
well,
not fix your leak.
We're talking wastewater here, so it's not so much
Right.
We keep
water
swapping
year,
some water
Can we
wastewater, right?
just-
winter averaging.
So,
Yeah.
so on the wastewater, if we're committed, that's what I'm hearing you say.
We are
would-
committed.
we would-
ILA.
We made our
Yes,
commitment.
we would
in
have
ILA.
legal implications if
Yes.
we, okay. This is gonna take care of us till we're built out. Is there any way to, drain from that dark blue into our system and earn some revenue or not? Or is that all already going to
That,
Liberty
I mean,
Hill?
that is all gravity flow.
Okay,
You know, they're, I'm trying to think. where-
over the hill and
It's
through
the
the
dividing
woods?
line of the San Gabriel River.
Well, it is, and
Yeah.
even then,
The basin.
even though
It's a different-
this is
okay, got it.
literally, even though, all right, here's the San Gabriel, South San Gabriel. And even though this is, you know, here's the top of the hill and the basin boundary, but these flows are gonna be pumped over the hill, you know, into the gravity system that goes all the way to Round Rock, so.
Okay, so there's no way
not-
to
not
sell
really-
wastewater capacity to those guys? that
Not,
don't? Okay.
no real opportunity
Okay.
there.
And I'm sorry, one more question. On your estimate of, is this $5.90 extra on the Brushy Creek Regional, the expansion, the $45 million expansion? Robert?
Yes.
When would that go into effect? Is that 2023 as well, or is that?
No, that would be FY '21.
Okay. And then are you saying also in addition to that, there would be an additional $6?
That $6 is tied to the $47 million estimate on the wastewater, the Leander wastewater plant. So that's,
Right?
as Gina mentioned, subject to changing when that actually hits.
Okay, but,
But
We
taken
could-
by itself, yes, $6.
okay, so we could be talking almost $12 increase in 2 years.
You think-
Well, we
2020.
gotta figure that one out.
I don't think the Leander plant would be out to bid in 2 years, do you?
No.
Okay,
These numbers, or these data sheets were done 6, 7, 8 months ago, so.
okay.
We could only do 1 acre lots and let them have septic.
And is this per LUE, that you're estimating
Just per customer account.
per customer? But how does that translate to our commercial customer? Do we have any idea?
Well, this estimate is just the amount needed per account, so.
Okay, per
actually-
account, period. Doesn't matter if it's residential or commercial.
Right, so,
Okay.
going back to the LUE concept, if we spread it out over LUE, the dollar impact to the commercial account would be more.
Right.
And the homeowner would be less than this, but
Right, this is per account.
most of our accounts are still residential.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
But that's a good point. So, I know it's 8 o'clock, but we have time to finish the rest of the projects. If y'all have questions on any of those that are in FY '21 or FY '22.
Oh, now we're going into 21 and 22.
Yeah, the rest of the projects are fair game.
Okay, so I had a question on a golf course.
Yes, sir.
When we originally did the 5.4, one of the options at the time was $2 million for the drainage, to fix the drainage issues. That's going back a couple of years, but
I remember there being some drainage on hole 13 and 17 when I first arrived, and I think there was some dollars set aside. Do you recall how many there were?
It was a small project.
Yeah, it was.
yeah,
really
this
small.
one was, there was an estimate of 5.4
Okay.
to do everything they advocated, and then it was like $2 million to fix the drainage issues. And that was in his report.
Okay.
So I think maybe we need to revisit that.
All right.
And then on that same issue, my question is, what's the ROI on that investment? So we finally have a balance sheet. Is this not gonna throw us into the red, and for how long? How are we
Yeah.
gonna pay for it?
That's gonna have to be studied and looked at. I do know that there's studies out there on renovation of golf courses and the increase in rounds and revenue that comes in. So we'd have to take all that into consideration, absolutely.
No one else has any questions?
All right, anybody else, anything? So, I can, the 4 million, is that right? San Gabriel, 183 to 183A?
That's
Yeah.
the piece through the TOD.
Yeah, that's what,
The piece through the TOD.
Yep.
and then the 280, if we can get some resolution there, that figure will be impacted.
And we killed the roundabout.
We've reduced it to 450, right? Say it all.
500.
500?
Yeah, for a traffic one.
But we said that was when it was needed, so who decides when it's needed?
You do? When, it's gonna,
complain.
literally, I mean, guys, I mean, yes, would it warrant today? Yes, it'll warrant today. I mean, is it needed today? I mean, well, you can't say that it's not. Would it help traffic flow through there? It would, but, I go through that intersection quite often. It seems to be working fairly well. Now, I don't go through it in rush hour.
Peak hours.
Haven't been through there. Terry sees that
I do,
more than I do.
But my mindset is we just push it out a year and reevaluate it every year. That's what I like about this, but I don't know that that's
Now,
everybody's.
obviously, well, I sure don't want to have a fatality there and then put a signal in after that. I hate that kind
Right.
of stuff.
Right.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, if we had the money, we'd go do it now. But there again, it's a matter of prioritizing funds, and that's, those are judgment. Now, we could you could have the HOA just get up in arms about it over something, and that could, be an impetus to do it. But there again, it depends on,
Is that what, are we waiting on an accident?
I hope
Are we
not.
waiting on an accident?
I don't.
I'm not saying we're waiting on an accident, but is that the driving
I-
force to put
I-
up?
Brother,
I think it's
I wanna have it there before we have an accident. I don't wanna see
Yeah,
a
that's what I'm
fatality
asking
there.
right now.
It
Oh,
will-
we've
the
had
wa-
accidents
It will
there.
warrant, usually what happens, and I'll give you the very example here at CTRMA. They literally had the signals designed, they had the poles on the, already manufactured, all the rest of it, and they were waiting for it to meet warrants. Well, it wouldn't meet warrants until you had a fatality, and basically you reduce the counts required by half, and then it would warrant, then they installed the damn thing.
Okay.
So even though we had any number of T-bone collisions at those intersections, they waited for a fatality, and I don't want to be the one that does that.
Yeah,
We
I would
should figure out how
support,
to get something
figure
out
out,
there.
But,
let's
okay.
figure out a way to do it.
I don't know when to bring this up, so I've been holding my tongue, but I think now is time. So we have a lot of roads that we annexed in 2016, 2017 that weren't included on the roadway survey, right? That we approved some fixing on. The pictures you showed of 280, that is glass compared to some of the streets that we annexed back in 2016. My concern is Texas Land Code saying when you annex, you have 2.5 years with your service plan, and if you need an extension for roadway and access, then you have to file that. We're already in year 3.5. So what is the city's responsibility to evaluate all these newly accessed roads and say, yes, a traffic light would be important there, but we've got a death curve and, a county road that's only 14 feet wide with semis on it. So it's the question.
Well, we do have the update in the budget, so I'll get that. Go through.
The pavement management.
Right,
And that's
but
the
budget for that this
condition.
year.
And that's really just resurfacing and filling potholes.
That's
But-
rehabilitation, yeah.
What we do and when we do is directed
Okay.
by you guys. That's your prerogative.
Sure, and that's a conversation we have to have, that we're having.
Okay. I mean, we have great projects listed
No, I
here,
agree,
but
Marcia.
I don't know what we're legally required to do for health, safety, and welfare versus, we want to do this and we want to do that. So I wanted to ask a question, and Paige isn't here. She's texting me telling me to be quiet.
And I'm just gonna
That was
piggyback on
me.
that real quick. I too wanna know what obligations we have out there.
Well, I'll address the obligations from water and wastewater area, and, the timelines that, Marcy mentioned are indeed correct, but in the state statute that addresses that, it's, there's a qualifier that says that, you do that in the same manner in which you do it elsewhere in the city.
Right.
Which means that the party has to pay the price to extend lines to our existing network of lines for their service. That's what saves us from that.
Okay.
But I literally thought that up until 15 years ago
Yeah.
myself, but there's a second line in that paragraph in the state statute that says these services shall be provided as they are provided elsewhere in the city limits at that time. So
If you have
the
similar areas
requirement
already
is
in
that
your
you
city,
have to pay.
I wanna have a
to
different
extend.
conversation
you
offline.
extend it just like you do in the city.
I mean,
to be
because I know
proactive.
when we first started the strip annex and so forth, when Biff was here in 2005, I'm going, oh my God, how in the heck can we afford to get water and wastewater service these people in 2.5 years or 4.5 years? But then that's when I got a little education on that second sentence or last sentence in that paragraph.
Well, the water and wastewater, I understand. It's the roads that I'm concerned about. We have school buses on the, that's what I'm concerned about.
Well, it's a matter of you have to be aware of any obvious safety issues and
Well,
things like that.
we had the Chick-fil-A,
Well, those are traffic congestion issues. I think Marcy's talking about roadway conditions.
Yeah.
Curb radiuses, things of that
Right.
nature.
Right.
Uh,
Old county roads
right.
that are insufficient.
Not things, Chick-fil-A is Chick-fil-A.
well, we're not talking about Chick-fil-A, but we know the intersection there,
Yeah, right. Well,
TikTok.
it's not, one of these days, guys, there's gonna be more traffic signals up and down 183 than we will like at the time, but it'll end up being necessary.
So the
People
bottom
will go
line
home
is,
at the end of the day.
Yes.
They'll be mad because they sat in traffic, but they will go home.
Right.
So we can look at the light so we can look
Yes.
at that, maybe trying to get that early.
We can do that. I mean, we can do that. You can make a modification if we find the funds.
Okay.
I mean, there's a competing need for funds in every
Right.
area of
Right.
the city and every aspect of the city. I mean, that's what we're in with a 15% growth rate.
Yep. So I had a question on the Fire Station 6, and you talked about the development up there. Liberty Hill has a station right there. I mean, we
Further
help them
north.
out. Do they help us out?
That we have a mutual aid agreement with them,
Okay.
so they do respond down there. But I do not believe that I'd have to research, but I don't believe that impacts our ISO, other than they're a mutual aid partner. So they supplement.
Because it's right up the road.
But for a EMS call, a general 1-engine, 2-engine response, they wouldn't respond with us.
And that's the way we do theirs too?
Correct.
Okay.
So it's usually only in a structure fire where they need multiple engines that we do mutual aid.
We do have a site for that station. It's a 4-acre site there for where the elevated tank is on Kaufman.
Yeah, we're going to have to look at that site because that site may be too far north, excuse me. We may have to look at it being a little more south.
So most of that area is in a mud, actually 3 muds. So do we receive revenue to cover fire expenses out there? Is that paid through the mud? I just don't know how it's funded. No?
No, it's in the city.
Yeah.
They, Texas.
We have some in-city muds and
The in-city mud, if I remember correctly, which it was a long time ago, is on all the commercial frontage, but the majority of that 1,000-acre Wiedemeyer tract.
FRW, Wiedemeyer, and Lively are both out-of-city muds.
Okay.
so we don't receive.
So we don't receive any funds. Does the mud have to pay in to us like an ESD? Or do they get free fire?
Depends on what the agreement is. The
The
consent,
agreement with who?
with the MUD, when it was created, there's a consent decree, and it may spell that out, but you know.
I do not know.
Well, let's just call it Mr. Wiedemeyer. See if, no, I'm kidding.
That's a good question
It's
to
a
know.
that's a lot of land, and that's where you're saying we need coverage. So I'm just wondering if they're not paying taxes, is the mud?
We can certainly research that.
And we can find out.
There will be developments up there that are outside the mud. We've got one in, under,
Bonnet?
in the Bonnet track, which is, oh God, can I get this
It's
right?
tucked away, right?
Oh, damn it, I chose it, darn, hit the wrong button again.
But Palmera's up there, Valley Vista East, Valley Vista Estates,
I believe it, is this?
There's still a lot of stuff.
This is the Bonnet track right here, Terry, right here.
between Crystal Falls and that.
So, and then, you know, of course, we've got HEB and all this stuff that's going in over here, and other areas in here to be developed. With HEB there, I don't know if Walmart will ever build another store or not, but it'd be a good place for it.
So, Robert, I have a question for you. Because, as I mentioned earlier, like a lot of these, you know, the gun range or, you know, police expansion, you know, might be a part of an overall question about a city hall. Is that something that you do the election first to approve? I mean, could it wait till a retreat like in the winter, and then would council kind of make that decision and form a bond task force? Or are we talking, you know, if we just said in 3 years from now, we'll worry about it?
Well, you got me on that. I mean, generally, I think what I understand your concept is the vision, and that absolutely is not a quick solution. Involves city council and the departments putting their pieces in. I can't speak to the departments that may need immediate space in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, but you know, a new city hall, whether it incorporates police and communications and a gun range, I mean, that is a master plan vision. That's, you know,
Yeah, but if you're going to spend $6 million here and, 3 million there and 2 million here, all of a sudden you start going,
I would think you would want to engage the consultants to help you plan that vision and cost it out well ahead of time so that you can decide that that's the direction you're going versus the, oh my gosh, we're out of space, we got to move forward with a new police station. If Chief Minton thinks he's 3 years out, 5 years out, based on growth, then I would think you would want your vision to be done well before that, so you can say, we want to go this direction, not this direction.
And so, like, if we were going to have that conversation as a council in the winter retreat, what would we need to do? Is that something you hire a consultant? Is it something where we could do in-house? Is it?
I think you would need consultants helping staff.
Okay.
Would that be part of the comp plan?
I don't think that's their.
Maybe that's just too specific.
That's basically a master plan
Do
for the
we
city
know
hall
how
and
much time
whatever's
we-
associated with it. So.
Do we know how much time we have before we're out of room for city employees?
Next week.
I know. That's what I thought you said.
2 years.
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money. So I agree with you. I think.
start getting them in tight. We can start dividing the boxes.
There's one cubicle back there. And
Pretty good place for Mike.
Yeah,
Mine is pretty good back there.
Just leave him back there.
got a couch back there.
We'll put a
Got all your
portable right
equipment?
back here.
Come on.
But I think that would be something that would be a good topic for the winter retreat and whatever, I don't know, by then would we know, because it's kind of a chain,
Sure.
the wastewater.
I spoke with Frank, and he thinks, a couple months
Okay.
to get the study.
Okay.
We have to feed him quite a bit of information too, so
Okay.
it's a matter of how fast everyone can.
Which then impacts you,
It may not be.
which impacts us, so.
It's kind of a domino.
But I think it also, to the public, helps justify a reason. It's not like,
But that's kind of when we brought it up, there's different pieces, it's all been planned at different times, and everything's kind of coming together, because it's that can that we're talking about, so, ideally, that would be great, to be able to combine all these into one resource where, fire admin can come over, they got their span, there's so much we can do if we have a facility. I think it's just getting it, the conversation's been talked about, it's just, we had never had a game plan, so I think as directors, I'll speak for myself, someone speak for them, we all, like Wayne said, we all have those needs. So it's kind of like we'll let you know exactly kind of what we need at the time. And obviously, we always can make things work as best as we can. There's just going to be that point where we're at maximum capacity where we'll have the nine people per square foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so.
It's tight.
That's pretty tight.
Real tight.
Go up. Yeah.
Even for ourselves, building-wise, we've sectioned offices, we made things smaller, and we're making it work. And the same thing with, even with fire dispatch and coming over. We know the dispatch center, if I had to give up everything to just expand that center, just because it's gonna have to happen, because, communications is the most important thing for us and for the city as we grow, and how we communicate, and how 911 comes in, how officers get dispatched throughout the city, and just that center is gonna have to grow, obviously, with the growth of the city. And what I would hate to do is build something today and then build something again.
Right.
And build something
Absolutely.
again.
Right.
And if we just build it once and
Absolutely.
then it's, and talking to some of the architects, you're looking at, even any of the projects that I presented, there's about a 5 to 6% inflation increase every year with wage.
Right.
So,
And a lot higher on the land.
yes, ma'am. It's getting more expensive. So.
Well, again, if you bring everybody together, you get increased efficiencies.
Absolutely.
You could theoretically sell off some assets, to help defray the cost of the Taj Mahal
We've
or
got,
City Hall, whichever you want to call it.
The building we have now would be great for somebody, whatever.
Right.
We've made it nice inside.
Yeah, it is.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jail cells could just be closets or stores.
Be a
They've been used for many places.
Yes.
The new Leo
space and all those things without knowing where to go.
Right,
So that's pretty much complete.
yeah.
So at your next workshop, I think that would be good information
Okay.
for you, the manager, and if you determine to hire a consultant, I think you'll have to do one to do a real concept plan for a big city hall.
Is that theoretically something parks could come in, part of the city too? Is that,
Could, and they have no space.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt.
okay,
Just depends on how big and how
Right.
costly the building would be. I mean, you can see them where you got police and fire in the same building. Sometimes you don't have either, and sometimes you have them in their own building. Like Georgetown built a big facility, which is police and fire. They got all their training facilities in there, and all their ranges and all stuff out there. Very expensive, but they just put the two public safeties together, and then everything else is in the new city hall. Pretty much sold buildings, sold the old city hall, the old council chambers, and all that, which were downtown properties, and brought up a pretty good price. I mean, it didn't offset the cost of construction, but they got appraised value on all those.
the library's a nice building too.
Georgetown's?
I just mean theoretically, they can be in the building. So, no. I think those are all things that when you start adding up the cost and, selling off an asset, you can kind of justify it to the public that, okay, it may cost 15, but, we're gonna make 4.
2 or 3,
whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I don't know if anyone remembers, when did we renovate all of this for office space? Not that long ago.
Moved in February the 19th.
Of
Started 3 years ago?
wow.
Two or 3 years ago?
You said 33.
I mean,
I have been here all the time.
I mean,
Okay,
they've all
I'm
been
sorry, you
managed.
said
They've been
3.
full.
February 20th.
I'm sorry.
28.
All right.
2018.
Yes, February 19th,
And
2018
how
is
much,
when we
and
moved in.
how much did it cost us?
2.5.
Okay. And it gained us, do we know how many offices? It doesn't matter because it's full. So, no.
It gained quite a
actually-
bit, but there's
Yeah,
none left.
that's right.
Yeah.
It gained quite a bit at the time that it was started, but it's now full.
Just didn't last.
Well, we had
very long.
a lot of people sitting on top of each other over
Right.
here,
Right. You had
and
the
that's
old building.
part of the
Yeah.
process of why that
The
happened.
developments over there.
That's right. We had several
You brought
buildings.
some people in.
Yeah.
But it is close to full.
Yeah,
I don't have any doubt about that.
yeah.
So is that it?
Well, the two big utility projects, the BCRUA, and then if we want to go over the Gina's wastewater plant, so those are the last two.
Well, the wastewater plant, we're doing the study, right?
Right.
Okay. So, are you talking about
Did you want to, any questions on
to tackle the 80 million?
the BCRUA?
Yeah, the deep water intake. I think we talked about some of it and the fact that, that we're trying to get Round Rock to, and they are agreeable to adjust their water demands so that we can kick this thing back by 2 years.
Okay.
I mean, that's my goal.
Okay.
We want to be able to afford it. We want to be able to do it without don't want a rate change. And,
So, let me ask you a question, because somebody suggested this to me recently. So, we talked about how in 2012, the drought kind of fueled a lot of this, need to move that further out, but supposedly there's 2 Austin pump stations right by Cedar Park's water line.
say that again?
There's 2 Austin pump stations right by Cedar Park's water line, supposedly.
I don't know anything about that.
Okay, they're Austins, but they're
Right.
in Cedar Park.
Mhm.
So,
And their intake is at the same level our intake is.
what's that, Cedar Park?
No,
Austin.
Well,
Austin's. Right.
the theory being that you could do a sharing with Austin and then in an emergency that they could supply water to you, or if they had an emergency.
Right. I think that their source is the same source that we have.
Correct,
So
but they're further out.
they're at the same elevation.
I thought they were further out.
everything, we can take water about 5 feet lower than they can. We can take our complete take, our
Today or with the new?
with the new intake. Not I'm talking about with the deep water intake.
Okay.
Austin's deep water intake's already online,
Okay.
and now that could relate. Honestly, I don't know anything about where Cedar. I'm surprised to hear that. I don't know whether that's true or not. I'm not disputing it, but I just don't know.
Yeah, the guy.
I've never heard it discussed in the 15 years that I've been at the table with Cedar Park on these water issues. So
Might be something to find out.
I need to ask.
Are you asking if we could, if Austin could supply us in an emergency?
Correct.
And I believe you're talking about a drought emergency that, as in,
So it might
for
not.
example, August of 2013,
Correct.
when the lake level hit 623, and we had to decommission the BCRUA barge and shut that BCRUA plant down until the lake levels recovered. So,
Right.
we actually, and that may be a possibility. We also have all the pumps, the barge components, and the pipeline and the manifolds in place to reinstitute the raw water contingency project that we had in place to address the drought, and that we came within 6 inches of pulling the trigger on decommissioning the Sandy Creek barge and the Cedar Park barge in October of 2013, and then of course, bam, the lake filled up just about overnight at that particular point. We spent a lot of money and didn't use the facilities, but there's no recourse to not having water.
Right.
So, as I say, you can drink bottled water, but you can't put out fires with bottled water. So,
Yeah, I think that would be just as an emergency option. And then, I know we've discussed a secondary source.
Carrizo, Wilcox, which I don't know how we're going to handle that. I know that the Round Rock study, they did their study to make the determination whether they were going to participate in the BCRUA or whether they were going to go Carrizo, Wilcox. And the results of their study was $550 million to get the 41 NGD to Round Rock, as opposed to even with the deep water intake, Round Rock will be in it for less than they'll be in it for about $150 million, I believe. So,
But they're going out for a secondary source now.
they are seeking information
Okay.
due to the fact that Mike hit their council up on Carrizo, Wilcox. Their request for information is due on the end of the month of October. I'm going to get that info from them when they
Okay.
come in. They're going to follow that up with a request for proposals that will ask for pricing proposals for Carrizo, Wilcox water. And I suggest that, that we may just take a look at that, use
Tag
that
on to
information, just tag on to that, and not
Yep.
spend any of our money to make
Absolutely.
those decisions.
I like it.
We will
We go to
continue
their
that
baseball
process.
park. They owe us something.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Can I read this before I forget?
You don't have to read it.
Darn,
Oh.
it's supposed to be on the records.
Okay.
Right? Darn. Yeah. So y'all all got a copy of it, but Michelle couldn't be here, so she asked me to just read her comments. Dear council members, I'm unable to make it to the CIP workshop this evening, but would like to give some input for consideration. I've asked Dara to print it out and give to each of you a copy. I've also asked Councilmember Pantaleon Parker to read my statement. These words and thoughts are solely my own and do not reflect her opinions. I've reviewed the unfunded CIP list. Everything on the list contains items that city needs, but some take priority over others. It is essential that we keep police, fire, and infrastructure at the top of the priority list. This is our core and necessary service we bring to our citizens. I am in full support of providing the fire and police departments the critical equipment they need to do their jobs. I would like to note that the gun range for our police department needs to have a seamless operation. Not only do the police need this critical training facility, but we also promised the gold depository, which will open next year, that they will have use of our LPD gun range. It is essential that we fulfill our promises. The Parks and Recs Department has an item on the list that I'd like to mention also, the Lakewood Park stage. Our city does not have a public performance area. The that is large enough for our fast-growing community. This would give us that. Our popular Bluegrass Festival keeps getting bigger and will outgrow the Mason House location in the not-too-distant future. It would be nice to transplant this festival, along with others, with our citizens, where our citizens can have enough room to gather and enjoy the music and festivities. I believe staff has done a good job prioritizing and putting this list together. A big thank you to all involved. Michelle Stevenson, Leander City Council, Place 2.
On the record. Thank you, Don. So,
Could I ask just a cleanup question, possibly, it may not be a cleanup question. On that Journey Parkway signal, is that something that we would want to fund starting October 1 of next year? Is that something you guys want to consider this year?
Can I ask a question? So the traffic, give me the right words, the roadway,
Traffic counts?
Pavement management, like.
Oh,
pavement
that, okay, yeah.
management, okay. Does that take into any no?
It's only road rehab,
It's
like you say, overlays.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so,
Pavement conditions.
Pavement conditions are.
I guess my question would be, I would like to see the accident peak map evaluation before we decide to spend $500,000 on one intersection. It may be another area that's far more dangerous that we're unaware of.
You want like the top?
Yeah, like you did, and you may have already done it for this year.
Well, the annual will be done at the end of the year, but we still get that every done
That's the comp plan.
as of today.
So
It's not really part of the.
is that,
Well,
do
it's,
you
I
guys
think
agree?
having that information would be very helpful,
Okay.
especially deciding
And I
whether
think
the
y'all
road's gonna
bring it
work.
a little bit, y'all bring us a chart and y'all show us where the,
Yes, sir. Annually,
spots
we'll
are-
show the top
yeah.
10, but it can be done at any time. It could just change in a couple months, but not by much.
Right.
when you
It
order
could change tonight.
when you do a traffic analysis, do you, does TxDOT do that or we pay for it?
well,
Or study.
typically, if it's a traffic impact analysis, it's a developer-funded issue. Now, one of the things that the engineering staff is very interested in is to do to have a consultant do a true, thoroughfare plan or transportation plan for the city, because so far, all of the transportation planning has largely been internal. And I am not an experienced traffic engineer by any means. Water and wastewater, streets, yes, but not traffic. And there are nuances there that, are not in my experience, nor in anybody in our department's experience. Now, we do have a young engineer who you will see Thursday night presenting a speed study for Baghdad, Hero Way.
50 on Baghdad?
So, and matter of fact, he's done all of our traffic studies in the last 5 years, and he's PE and very qualified. You'll see him Thursday night. Hopefully, he won't be too timid. He is somewhat shy.
We'll
And,
welcome
I
him.
hope he'll be okay. Y'all be nice to him.
You will be nice.
I was gonna say, he'll be really shocked.
Yeah. He's a good man.
All right.
But one of the things that we are concerned, we're a city headed to 200,000 people, and that's in the next 20 years, maybe less, at this kind of growth rate. The comprehensive plan is not really going to address that. Basically, the comprehensive plan may make some recommendations on that, and we think that that's something that may follow the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
There again, that's up to you guys. That's council's priority, whether we do it, when we do it.
Like
But
that,
it's-
it would be nice to have like traffic counts,
Yes.
volumes and
We-
projections as we grow to make sure that we're picking lanes that are appropriate. And
Right.
then maybe prioritizing
Too-
signal locations.
Too many times, we are chasing the traffic. We don't respond before the traffic's there. We respond after the traffic's generated a huge issue and a need and complaints and congestion. So,
Well, we
don't
know
like
that.
doing it like that.
well, let's not do it
Unfortunately,
like that.
well, like as I
way.
whispered a minute ago, all I need is $1 billion.
Yeah.
I can take care of everything.
Well, y'all asking for it.
$1 billion.
But we we know there's so much growth coming up north, you know.
There is, and we're getting, we can't stop it. All we can do is fail to address it and screw it up, kind of like Austin has done over the decades.
Let's not do
So-
that, let's just do it right. Let's figure out how to do it right.
And we need specialized resources to do that. We don't have staff resources to do that.
Yeah. So we don't need the traffic accident report immediately? Can that wait till the retreat? Or should it?
Depends on if you want to move it up.
Oh,
I emailed Lou to give it to you.
Oh, you already did?
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
I can get that anytime you want
Okay.
it, so that's not a problem.
For her?
You could
Maybe
even
make the end of
include
month
that
and
in
do it in
your
November.
safety report or something, you know.
Maybe in the November
Okay,
council meeting.
yeah, okay.
If you want to.
And it'd be nice to even
You
have
just want
traffic
it.
counts there.
You can
in all
get to
four
anytime
lanes
you
of
want
that
it, make a
intersection.
presentation.
I think that helps
November
in that
meeting.
process.
Okay.
They are, they're nice.
Can we get retail strategies to do that? They can give us traffic
Oh,
counts.
we can get
for
any
intersection.
number of people to
Yeah.
do it. And it's not an expensive proposition.
Yeah.
You're talking, a couple of thousand, something like
Well, we
that.
already paid them.
Yeah,
for-
yeah.
Oh, well, is that in their scope of work, that kind of thing? I mean, I'm
they're-
unaware.
They provide that information for retail, or for
Retailer.
business,
Right.
commercial applications.
A lot of times, I occasionally see cables out, and I don't know who's running the counts. Sometimes it may be people doing that type of work. We don't require people to license. I don't know if you get notifications from anybody like taping cables across our roadways and so forth, which I occasionally see and wonder about. But, county does counts, TxDOT does some counts, but of course they're on county or TxDOT
Right.
roadways, and not our typical thoroughfares or collectors or arterials.
So did this help?
Absolutely. I just would like to recap what I think I heard, that there's consensus on some immediate things. And if not, good to speak up. So, Mark has on the next council meeting in 2 days, the Lakewood Stage change order for consideration. And, then the other thing I heard is that the council is accepting of our ILA commitment on the regional wastewater, and we have a path forward on getting through this year funding wise, but we'll continue to refine that. And then the only other immediate thing that I heard, other than lots of these things are continue to work and refine, but is that for Mark to bring back a cost proposal to do the design of Old Town Park to bring to y'all's consideration. Was that fair? Are y'all ready for that? I mean, is that what did you hear the
Sure.
same thing?
I did. Yeah.
Doesn't cost anything to talk about it, does it?
Check on the floor mats and the undercarriage.
What are you gonna bring back on the park?
On a cost proposal to do the design or of the Old Town Park.
And the council, they have to authorize that.
Yeah,
to go
that's
forward.
right.
Yeah, sure.
As well as where we get the money.
Exactly.
We need to find that out too, so.
Unless Mark can get that proposal for less than 50,000, then council wouldn't necessarily have to look at it.
Still need to find the money. Those are three immediate takeaways I picked up on.
Yep, and then the traffic light, which we'll wait on the
Chief will
report.
get that by the November meeting.
I think we're good.
Anybody else?
Not good.
Anybody else? Want clarification?
So on that, so were we going to for is it 20 or 21 to the 25%?
We will need to contribute our 25% this fiscal year.
but you've got that in reserve.
Okay. But we got
11
that in
million?
reserve.
It's at 10 to 11.
We've got enough in reserves
Okay.
and, to front it until we borrow the money to repay it the following year.
Okay,
So, it defers borrowing money a year,
yeah.
or 18 months, depending on the project.
Okay.
So we can get by this year without any kind of a rate increase.
Okay. And then on the deep water intake, we'll get Round Rock's assessment.
We're gonna work this 2-year delay.
Okay,
It's Michael Thane and I, the utility director, have talked about it several times. He's been receptive to it, and he was very receptive to it today at our meeting. So,
okay.
Cedar Park's not gonna like it, but too bad. So,
All right, so we're good.
That was really gavel.
You good to go?
Yeah, I think you guys should all take tomorrow night off.
Oh, we're not.
Hey, tomorrow night, no problem.
Robert did a really good job.
You mean Thursday? Go back.
No, tomorrow, we got to work Thursday. Get Wednesday out. Put you guys too much slack.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate all the work.
Thank
y'all.
everybody did. You guys did a great job, so. Obviously, we've grown so much that it makes it harder, because there's a million demands everywhere, right?
yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Anyway, but you guys do a great job, so we appreciate it.
You got to work Thursday.
So the time is 8:43. We are now adjourned.
Yeah, that's a